Johnny Wyatt for stealing clients and breaching their employment agreement.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin.
Hello, Judge. Case 2112, Landy versus Wyatt.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Wyatt, when did you become an esthetician?
I was licensed as an esthetician in March of 2021.
Okay. Miss Landy, this is what your case is about. You hired Miss Wyatt for your business. You have a spa business? Is that what it is?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
How long have you had the business?
I've been in operations as an S-Corp since 2016. I worked for myself as a sole proprietor since 2009.
How many employees did you have in 2020 and 21?
In 2020, it was during the pandemic. We were shut down most of the time. In 2021, there was up to 5 employees, not including myself, Your Honor. It was 6 of us total.
Does that include Miss Wyatt?
It does, Your Honor.
When did she start working for you?
She started working for me in February of 2021 as a receptionist. I hired her as a receptionist.
Okay. Not an esthetician?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Were you going to school at the time?
I was not hired in February. I didn't get my license until March of 2021.
What the plaintiff says is you were hired in February. She probably has documents to work as a receptionist.
I was not hired. I didn't even have my license then.
Did you have any proof that she started in February?
Your Honor, I have proof that she...
Was she on your payroll?
She was on my payroll.
Okay, so that
what we have document of in that is that she started brand new as a receptionist. Maybe it was in March of 21.
Okay.
I have my first paycheck stub.
I'd like to see it.
Okay.
Alishani produces a document, then hands it to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
This is a pay stub from April.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. This is your claim. Your claim is that when Miss Wyatt came to work for you, subsequently as an esthetician, which she was, because she counted her among your 6 employees in 2021, that she had signed a contract which provided for certain restrictions should she leave. You don't have that contract.
I cannot find it. It was supposed to be.
Okay. You don't have that contract.
Nope.
Miss Wyatt, when you went to work for the plaintiff, do you recall signing a document?
I do recall signing documents stating like what my job title was and like the documents that would go towards what we went over and things like that for training purposes.
Okay.
Your Honor, I have non-solicitation, non-disclosure agreement documents of employees. There's 4.
Okay. Is this an employee of yours?
No, it is not, Your Honor.
Ever? Was ever?
Never been an employee.
Were either one of those 2 people employees, former employees?
Tabitha Brown was.
Was this a former employee of yours?
Tabitha Brown was a former employee.
At approximately the same time?
She was an employee of mine for 5 years up until April 17th, Your Honor.
Did she voluntarily leave or did you?
She voluntarily left.
Okay. Did she voluntarily leave to go to work with the defendant?
I did not know that until the day defendant left.
But ultimately you determined that she did?
Sure did.
Okay. She was with you for 5 years?
Sure. Yes.
I assume that if you have a business and you don't have this contract, which you allege if you could produce, had a specific non-compete clause in it, but you don't have it. She remembers signing something, but she doesn't remember exactly what it was. Can you stand up? Tell me your name.
Tabitha Brown.
Miss Brown, did you sign a contract when you went to work for the plaintiff?
Yes, I didn't remember that I did.
You did?
Yes.
But you did?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a copy of her?
I sure do. And
Just a second.
Okay.
Do you have a copy of it?
I don't.
No, but you have a copy of what she signed?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Your Honor.
No. Just let me see the copy. I'm trying to reconstruct something just to get some general parameters of this case.
Angela hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
Tabitha Brown, March 22nd, 2022.
Yes.
Different.
Oh.
That is not the non-solicitation, non-disclosure agreement. That's a different agreement. Those are contracts she has signed.
Oh, well, you gave me 2 things. What is this?
One is her non-disclosure, non-solicitation, and also the second one is the role definition of an esthetician working for me.
Looking at the non-compete.
Judy scans the document.
Okay, this is pretty standard. Kevin, would you show this to Miss Brown? And I also want you to show it to Miss Wyatt.
Kevin hands the document to Tabitha.
That clearly your signature.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. And so that says within 1 year of your leaving Miss Landy's employment, you will not work in a related field within 7 miles from her current place of business.
Yes.
When you left her employment, did you go to work with Miss Wyatt?
We left to share. Yes.
The answer is either yes or no. So you did. You
Yes.
went to work with Miss Wyatt. And when you went with Miss Wyatt, that was sometime in 2022.
Yes, ma'am.
What month?
May of 2022.
Your Honor, that's incorrect.
Shh. Don't. I'm not needing your help.
Okay.
Caption coming up.
In this case, you don't have a physical signed contract, so I don't see why you think that you have all documentation.
I don't have documentation
That's what I'm saying.
due to the fact that I believe she stole the information out of my filing cabinet.
Alishani shakes her head. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Angela, Alishani, and Tabitha.
Angela Landy claims her former employee, Alishani Wyatt, stole clients and breached their employment agreements.
Now, does Miss Wyatt have a location, a shop, a store, a place of business, or does she operate out of her residence?
We share a space
You share a space where?
at the Salon Studios in Valencia.
Have you calculated the distance between that space and Miss Landy's office?
I have, ma'am.
And how far is it?
3.4 miles.
Well, you're not allowed to do that, pursuant to the terms of your agreement.
Correct. I don't have a copy of that agreement, ma'am.
Well,
I have it here. I have it
giving-
now. But at the time, I didn't. It's from 5 years ago, and I never received a copy of that. So it was.
I don't know whether you received a copy of it or not. It's your signature, and it's pretty standard fare. It's not that it's not standard fare. So, Miss White, what I have to do is sort of put together whether or not I believe that you, in fact, had the same document that you signed.
Correct.
And I believe that you did.
Okay.
Despite the fact she says that you probably took it when you left. I can't describe that conduct to her. But this is pretty standard fare, that within 1 year it's not too onerous, it's not within a 50-mile radius, it's a 7-mile radius. 3.5 miles is certainly well within that. You could have found some place that was 8 miles away, and then we wouldn't be in this difficulty. But you didn't. Anyway, so you were in violation of your contract when you left and went to work and shared space with Miss Wyatt. Okay, but you're not suing her.
No, ma'am.
Why?
Because I know the case would be dismissed because of the lack of solicitation between clients and of a former employee.
Well, not necessarily. Those two stand alone.
Your Honor, if I may say, there was a small claims action against Tabitha, but because there was no evidence.
What do you mean there was no evidence?
I had no evidence, the way I have evidence today with Alishani, that Tabitha solicited clientele.
Okay. Now you can sit down.
Thank you.
So that small claims case was dismissed.
Yeah, I have nothing there, which I learned. I have nothing to stand on what I have to stand on today.
Well, what you had to stand on, Miss Landy, which I don't understand, you had a non-compete agreement with her. She's in violation of that agreement. That's all you need. And she violated this agreement. She went to work within 7
correct,
miles
Your
of
Honor.
your place of business. So I don't understand that. In this case, you don't have a physical signed contract. I have to reconstruct whether I believe that there was one. So I don't see why you think that you have all documentation.
I don't have documentation
That's what I'm saying.
due to the fact that I believe she stole the information out of my filing cabinet.
I don't know whether she did or not. Right now, you say it's a lost document. You can't find it.
Correct.
Okay. And the defendant acknowledges, and it's usually custom and practice in the business, to sign a non-compete when you have that kind of service industry. And I'm prepared to accept judicial notice of the fact that when you go to work for a beauty salon or a hair salon or a spa, you develop a clientele within the spa. You can't open up a store next door and steal the clients. Most people have people sign this, and you did, and you had it done 5 years ago. So Ms. Brown is in violation of this contract.
That is correct.
Why somebody dismissed that, I don't know. I have no idea. Okay. So now you're going to demonstrate to me that Miss Wyatt solicited clients of yours.
Yes,
Show
Your
me.
Honor. Okay. In July of 2021, Alishani was trained to be an esthetician.
Let's not go back to ground zero. I'm not interested. I am assuming for the purposes of this hearing that she signed a non-compete clause, just as Ms. Brown did. So let's start from there, and I asked you a very simple question. I said, what proof do you have that she solicited clients when she left?
Your Honor, my solicitation is here,
Fine, I'd like to take a look at it.
and my witness, Kennedy, is here as well.
Well, let's go to Miss Kennedy. Was Miss Kennedy a client of yours?
Yes, Your Honor.
Would you stand up, please?
The witness rises.
Your first name?
Kennedy. Kennedy.
Last name?
Johnson.
Ms. Johnson, how long had you been a client of Miss Landy's spa?
I want to say about 2019, Your Honor. I was there before the pandemic and was there for a while before it shut down due to COVID.
Were you there after it reopened?
Yes.
After COVID. What kind of work do you have done there?
I get sugared, which is using sugar, lemon, and I believe it's honey and water, and you mix it together and it takes hair off of you.
And who did that for you?
I went through many of the clientele and the employees at Angela's shop at the time. So there were several people that, Lishane was one of them, as well as Tabitha.
How many times did the defendant do the waxing? Sugaring.
I want to say at least 5 times.
Do you recall when she left Miss Landry's?
I do not remember the date. However, I do remember getting a call from her company. I got a call saying...
From Miss Landry's company?
Yes.
Yes.
Your Honor, it's Landy.
Landy.
Yes, from Miss Landy's company. They had called me on my cell phone and told me that she was no longer there, and they had told me she was no longer there.
You can't tell me what somebody from her shop told you. That's hearsay. I want to know about the solicitation. If there was.
Yes. So one point while the defendant was there.
Sorry. Do you understand?
Yes.
While the defendant was there, I had gotten sugared on my face. It was a small patch test, excuse me. And after she had texted me, gave me her personal number, and told me if I had any reaction to text her and let her know. After I texted her, I had...
And this was while she was working for the plaintiff?
Yes, that is correct.
Go ahead.
And as a while, I started having a small reaction, and I had texted her and sent her a picture of my face and told her that I was starting to have a small reaction. I did not receive anything back for a little bit, and then I want to say around April, late March.
Well, when did you text her?
This text for the face patch was earlier, I want to say early March, maybe February.
Do you have the text?
I believe she gave it to you.
The third one, Your Honor.
A text reads, "Hey Kennedy, I forgot to tell you if you wanted to book with me again, I can put you in my books. I'll be in Valencia."
What date did Miss Wyatt leave your employ?
April 22nd is when I got her immediate resignation.
April 22nd,
2022.
And is this what you're referring to? Hey, Kennedy, I forgot to tell you if you wanted to book with me again, I could put you in my books. I'll be in Valencia.
That's correct.
And is Valencia where your shop is?
3.2 miles away, Your Honor.
No. Answer my question. I have a question. Is Valencia where your shop is?
No.
That's my question. Why don't you just answer my question?
Okay.
Caption, coming up.
Tell me what she told your attorney. Do you understand?
Even if I have an affidavit?
Is your attorney in the military?
No, I just have a notarized affidavit.
From whom?
My
From
attorney.
Her? No, I don't take affidavits from attorneys.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
Angela grins. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Angela and Alishani.
Business owner Angela Landy has accused her former employee, Alishani Wyatt, of taking her clients and breaking their agreement.
So Valencia is not where your shop is. Valencia is where your place of business is.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So you left on the 22nd, is that correct?
That's correct.
On the 20th, 2 days before, you tell Miss Kennedy, because I assumed that this was a planned move of yours, that she could reach you again at your new place of business in Valencia.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, well, you're not allowed to do that.
During the services, it's a very intimate service, so you start to gain a relationship with these clients. And through that time, I felt like I had gained a relationship. It wasn't just a client with Kennedy. So
You met her
Yes.
through the plaintiff.
Yes, Your Honor.
You started to work on her through the plaintiff.
Yes, Your Honor.
She had other people work on her other than you.
Yes.
She may have liked you better than the other people. That doesn't diminish the fact that you knew that you weren't supposed to solicit clients. You knew that. I believe that you knew that.
Yes.
Because that's standard fare. So your excuse is you thought you developed a personal relationship with her.
Correct, Your Honor.
How many other people did you develop a personal relationship with?
Majority of the clients that I had who were returning clients of mine, I felt like I had built personal relationships with.
If you're potchking around with somebody's face or scrubbing their body or giving them a scrub to get hair off on every part of the body, then you develop an intimate relationship
Correct.
with somebody. Now, your first name is Kennedy?
Yes.
Kennedy, did you ever go out to dinner with Miss Wyatt?
No, I did not.
She ever invite you to her house?
No, she did not.
Was the only time you ever saw Miss Wyatt while you were having a service?
That is correct.
You see, that's not an intimate relationship. That's just stealing clients, Miss Wyatt.
Okay.
So my question to you is, you're seeking damages, okay? Did you seek injunctive relief?
No, Your Honor.
Why not?
I didn't know about injunctive relief. In addition, because of the staff leaving, because of solicitation, admitted solicitation by Alashani to my attorney, and I have a sworn affidavit for that. Because of that, I ordered them a cease and desist, and they ignored the cease and desist. Alashani told my attorney that she did not
No, you can't
solicit
you can't tell me what she told your attorney. Do you understand?
Even if I have an affidavit?
Is your attorney in the military?
No, I just have a notarized affidavit.
From whom?
My
From
attorney.
Her? No, I don't take affidavits from attorneys. Okay. It's ridiculous. Are you still in operation, Miss Wyatt?
Yes, Your Honor.
How many people work for, with, or to you?
It's just me. I have my own personal LLC, and she has her own personal LLC, so none of our money is combined.
Miss Wyatt, how many of your former clients from Miss Landy's business followed you?
I would say a good portion. I don't have an exact number.
Yes.
Here you go.
Now, just tell me.
I would say at least...
No.
No, I'm sorry.
I don't want you to say I would say at least. I assume you have names, people.
I have names and people here.
How many of your clients went to Miss Wyatt?
20.
Not was solicited, follow me very carefully, not solicited by her, but actually left your business to go with her.
Actually left my business to go with her.
20.
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to see. Does that sound right, Miss Wyatt?
Yes, Your Honor.
Then I don't have to see. She says that that's about right.
Your Honor, I would also like to add that after I left, she did send out a mass text allowing all of the clients who had ever seen me to be aware that I was no longer there. So that also allowed more clients to reach out to me in different aspects.
No, my dear, you made the mistake.
Okay.
You made the mistake by opening up an office within a 7-mile radius, which you can't do.
Okay.
You solicited her clients. I thought maybe just 1 or 2, but 20, that's a lot of clients. 20 recurring clients is a lot of clients. Miss Landy's request in her small claims case is the maximum of the jurisdiction, which is $10,000. And I think that she deserves every penny of that.
Okay.
Because what you did was wrong and a breach of your contract with her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $10,000.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
And I have to tell you something, that's ongoing,
Okay.
just so that you're aware.
Alashani, then Angela.
I felt like the work environment was very unstable.
I have so many people to testify, including employees, that it's not a hostile work environment.
And I was constantly anxious there.
I was doing so much to improve the quality of the business by changing policies and procedures.
I had to do what was best for me and my family. I'm a single mom, so
Hiring a business coach, working with an HR team.
let the better business win, I guess.
The better business is won.
Sarah and Judy.
I was a little bit confused. Maybe you can shed some light on it for me. Why the plaintiff wouldn't sue for injunctive relief, because injunctive relief is suing not so much for damages, but to get someone to stop doing something. So in this case, it seemed to me that the proper ask, per se, would be injunctive relief to stop the defendant from operating her business in violation of her contract. But she didn't do that. She sued for damages instead. And I just think that this same problem could keep happening, that I think it's a good lesson for people to educate themselves or hire a lawyer to find the proper relief. Because what's to say that this is going to stop today? I'm sure she'll keep seeing the 20 clients.
Well, she's going to keep seeing the 20 clients. This judgment today was more compensatory than punitive, because if she had taken one client with her, well, she's in violation of the contract, and some token violation would have been appropriate. But she took 20 clients with her.
I got the feeling from you that you weren't exactly in line with the $10,000 number until you heard
Until
about
I heard
20
the 20.
clients.
I mean, that's Really?
The whole business,
Some
really.
work and defamation of character.
Court come to order. All rise.
Be seated, please.
Kevin approaches the bench.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2007, Sanchez versus Vasquez.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Sanchez, how old are you, sir?
I'm 26 years old.
And what is your educational background?
I have a bachelor's degree in film that I got from Full Sail University. I'm currently...
Slowly.
I'm sorry.
You have a bachelor's degree from?
Full Sail University.
Where is that?
Orlando, Florida.
Orlando, Florida. That I can hear. You have to understand, when you're dealing with someone of my age, you have to sort of factor that into your speech. People who are 26 may be able to follow you. I'm senior. I need people to speak slowly so that I can follow them.
I got you.
So you got a bachelor's degree from a university in Florida and graduated when?
I graduated in 2018.
And from there, what kind of work did you do?
From there, I jumped around a little bit. I did
Okay,
work...
you jumped around. Did your family live in Florida?
No, ma'am.
Where do they live?
They live in Beaumont, Texas.
Did you live with them at all in Beaumont?
No, ma'am.
After college?
Not until the pandemic.
Okay, well, the pandemic was in 2020.
Yes.
So you graduated in June of 2018, and then the pandemic started on or about March of 2020.
Yes, ma'am.
And in March of 2020, you went home to your parents' house.
Yes.
And you stayed there until when?
I'm still currently there. I started going back to school, actually.
When did you start going back to school?
My first classes were in December of last year.
In Texas?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. So you actually had a year and a half out of school when you were hopping around.
Yes, ma'am.
So I want you to tell me who you worked for in that year and a half.
I was an intern on a documentary.
Okay, and when was that?
That was about a few months after I graduated.
So maybe September, October?
Yeah, probably around there. I did a few independent films.
Okay, and what kind of work did you do for them?
Just kind of depended what they needed. It was mostly
Like a
PA
PA?
stuff. Yeah.
Like a PA. And for that work, were you paid as a PA?
Yes, ma'am.
And how much were you paid as a PA?
They paid me $75 a day.
Pay you in cash?
They paid me in cash.
Okay, so you did those couple of little projects, and then what?
I was also waiting tables at the time.
Okay, well, you got to eat.
Right. After the pandemic hit, my lease was up. I moved back home. Decided I would go back to school to get a tech job. I'm going for cybersecurity right now. I had heard through a family friend.
Okay, let's stop there. This case is, I don't think so difficult, but relatively interesting for me because we don't get them all the time. Mr. Vasquez, you were making a movie.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is this the first movie you ever made?
No, Your Honor.
How many movies have you made?
This was film number 5 for me. Written, directed, produced.
Is it a fiction piece or a documentary?
It's actually based on a true story.
So it's a docudrama?
Correct, yes.
See that? Are you impressed with that? There you go, a docudrama. How long a film?
90 to 100 minutes. We're still in post, still editing. So
Keep your voice up. Approximately how long?
100 minutes.
What was your budget?
It's still in
About what was your budget? Then you're going to tell me where you got the financing.
roughly 120,000.
Where did you get the money from?
A lot of it was my money and other producers.
How much did you put in?
Over 80,000.
And you've got other people in for about 40.
Yeah.
Did you make money on your other films?
I have, yes, in the past.
Okay, this is what the case is about. Mr. Sanchez says that he was hired by your company. And he was hired by your company to work on this last film that you were doing. And it was a paying job. And at the end of the period, he was not paid. And in addition, he says that when he complained about not being paid, you put out there on social media that you weren't paying him because he was on drugs. Is that what the case is basically about?
Basically. It wasn't on social media. It was through text messages. He accused me of it, but...
Text messages?
Yes.
Well, that to me is almost social media. If it doesn't come to me by the U.S. Postal Service, I call it social media. I know. Okay. Did you answer an ad for this job?
No, I heard about it through a family friend.
And when did you meet Mr. Vasquez for the first time?
We didn't actually meet face-to-face until about Saturday, July 10th, 2021.
Did you communicate via text messages or
Yes, ma'am.
emails? Well, when was the first either text message or email?
The first text message was on Monday, the 28th, 2021 of June.
6/28/2021. May I see that, please?
Of course.
Christian hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy.
And this one, too. Sorry.
He hands another document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews a string of text messages.
Okay, anything else? Okay, so you first met by email. You say you have one spot available for him as an internship, and then practically immediately thereafter, you say somebody's family is sick in the crew. You have a spot for him as an assistant director.
So, Your Honor.
I'm reading this. Well, you have to tell me what that means. I need a first AD. Someone's family is sick and they can't do it.
Correct.
So what is an AD?
He's basically going to assist me as a director, everything from...
Assistant to the director.
Correct.
Okay. Yes. I need a first AD. Someone's family is sick. So that's different from an internship.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, I mean, we do have internships where people don't get paid, and then you have internships where they do get paid. Most people now pay their interns. Okay. And when you met, because clearly the last email that I just read suggests that you were approaching the door and you're 2 minutes away, and then you met the defendant. Tell me about that conversation.
Caption coming up.
The thing that I find most troubling here, actually, for the both of you, is he says that you told him not to tell the rest of the crew that he had COVID because they would freak out.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Christian and Juan.
Christian Sanchez claims filmmaker Juan Vasquez owes him for unpaid work. Juan says Christian was an unpaid intern.
Okay, and when you met, because clearly the last email that I just read suggests that you were approaching the door and you're 2 minutes away, and then you met the defendant. Tell me about that conversation.
So we met, we sat down. I kind of told him a little bit about my background, like I told you before. He kind of went over like what he was expecting me to do.
Just a second. I want you to tell me what he told you that he wanted you to do.
Managing the set, creating schedules, calling extras, making sure that they were there on time.
Is that what you told him?
Yes, basically assisting me whatever I needed.
Okay, that sounds like more than a PA.
We didn't ask for PAs. There was no internship for PAs.
But what you outlined was clearly more. What did you agree to pay him?
Never agreed to pay him anything. So
well, how could you do that?
He was an intern. He was presented to me as an intern.
No. Not after this text message. He said he was looking for an internship, and you said to him, I have a better role for you. I need a first AD. Someone's family is sick. Whose family was sick? The name of the person?
I don't recall.
Okay. When you did a budget, did you have a budget for a first AD?
No, we didn't.
Careful. Did you have a budget for a first AD?
No, not that I remember. I usually don't use a first AD, so the terminology...
No. Listen, you know who produces this show? You want to be careful with what you say around people, you know, who are buying your product.
Sure.
Right? Because you're going to be presenting them with budgets, eventually, hopefully, for you. There's no question that if I got this text from you, Mr. Vasquez, I would say, oh my God, I'm going to get a different job, a better role, because he says I have a much better thing. Somebody who was supposed to do it got sick, they can't do it. That's a much different thing from what you describe as bringing me iced tea and setting up the coffee. That's a different role. What did he tell you he was going to pay you, sir?
He told me, verbally, he told me that...
Look, careful when you talk to me. At that meeting, that day, what did he tell you he was going to pay you?
$150 per day for 14 days.
How many days did you actually work on the set?
On the set, I worked 14 days.
It's a lie.
I got COVID on the last 2 days, and he asked me to work from home, and I still scheduled and did all that stuff.
I never asked him to work from home.
You got COVID the last 2 days, so you were actually there 12 days.
Physically there, but I was still working for him.
Who knows? How do I know that?
I have text.
I would like to see the work that you did from home on day 13 and 14.
1,800 for 12 days, not including...
Okay.
On those specific days, I have it on my phone. Could I pull it up?
No, I want to see what you did. If you did work, you sent emails out, you sent scheduling out, and you would probably have to have a conversation with your boss and say, I have COVID, but I'll do whatever I could do from home.
I have all of that.
I'd like to see it.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, if I may interject.
Yeah.
So he shows up to the set sick with COVID, gets everybody sick. I had to call the next day of filming because of that.
Are you talking about after he was there for 12 days?
Yes, I'm talking about that particular that particular part. But
I'm talking about he was there for 12 days. He didn't have COVID for 12 days.
we don't know that.
Well, who knows that? I don't know if you have COVID.
We just got tested, Your Honor.
Who knows if you have COVID? Who knows if I have COVID? All I know is I came to work today. I expect to be paid. I wouldn't come to work if I was sick and laying in bed and feeling nauseous and...
Your Honor, if you had a remote position, that'd be different. He didn't have a remote position.
I'm not talking about his 2 days. He was there 12 days.
He did it throughout the course of the project. He was never on time.
I don't care if he was never on time. If he was never on time, sir, then you fire him.
There was days he was not on set.
Listen to me.
Okay.
He was never on time, then you tell him don't come back after the second day. But if you let him come for 12 days and do whatever he does, I mean, you know, Mr. Vasquez, I'm going to make this as painless for you as possible. There are some employees that I have had over the years that were terrific. Some not so terrific, some terrible. The terrible ones, who were really terrible, who I would have liked to have fired, period, I couldn't do it because of human resources.
Sure.
They have a whole protocol, volumes, like an Encyclopedia Britannica, what you have to go through to fire somebody who's not doing their job.
Right.
But you have to pay him until you can fire him. If you have him come to work, even if he's doing a terrible job, you still have to pay him. Now, if he goes home because he's sick and you're not giving him sick leave and you don't agree for him to work remotely, that's on him. Does that sound fair to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm so glad. Unless, of course, you agree to have him work remotely, then you have to pay him for 14 days.
Right.
It starts right there, Your Honor, and then the next 2 days follow it.
Kevin brings Christian's phone to Judy. She reviews a string of text messages.
JV, that's you?
Yes, ma'am.
JV, that's you. So you did, in fact, confer with him from home. Tell him to order food, to picking it up. I don't care if he worked for you for a half hour. He's not your friend. The thing that I find most troubling here, actually, for the both of you, is he says that you told him not to tell the rest of the crew that he had COVID because they would freak out.
Correct.
And he didn't tell the rest of the crew
As far
that
as
he
I
had
know.
COVID. Well, you told him not to. And he said, okay. Well, you have to know, as a good citizen, that's not the right thing to do. You do understand that.
And, you know, by not having him on the set, we thought that was proper protocol.
No, you're supposed to notify people who you came into close contact with. You know, I remember they had this whole contact tracing. I know people call all the time
the
and say,
reality is, Your
we
Honor,
were out
everybody
together
that was
a month
on
ago.
the set.
What?
The reality is, everybody that was on the set, we did discuss the fact that he had COVID, so people knew that.
I don't care whether people knew that. It says here, I won't say anything to the rest of the crew, like you said.
Yeah, because
I
I didn't want
understand
to
that you don't want everyone to freak out. I just find that troubling. In any event,
it's just
he
like
clearly
yelling bomb in an airport. You know, that would create a bigger hysteria.
Well, that's what COVID is. COVID is a bomb in an airport.
We conveyed to everybody on the set what was going on. The reality is, this man was presented as an intern, never said paid internship. Once he got on the set, he tried to strong-arm us, then demanded the money once he had all the information on the set. We didn't hire him. We didn't post a job for him. We made a job for him because a producer called me up. This is when nepotism goes bad. This kid couldn't even order pizza, Your Honor. He spent $300 at Domino's. Who spends $300 at Domino's?
Mr. Vasquez, then you fire him.
I should have
Do
fired
you
him.
understand?
I should have fired him.
Then your recourse is to fire him. And you're a little company that doesn't have a HR department. Say, you know what, what's your first name?
Christian.
Christian, you're a nice guy, but it's not working out here. We're going to pay you for 3 days because that's what you were here. Don't come back. I'm going to get somebody else.
And we should have did that, Your Honor.
But that's what you should have done.
Yes.
But that's not what you did. You continued to use whatever limited services he provided, even when he was
You were
home with
limited,
COVID.
yes.
Even when he went home with COVID, you continued to ask him to do things for your company and for the film, and that you can't do without compensating him.
Caption coming up.
You gave him a job, and if he didn't work out, say, what was the name of that woman from that show that says you're fired or something?
The weakest link.
Weakest link, that was the lady. She was terrific. Well, anyway, you say you're fired. That's easy.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Christian and Juan.
Christian Sanchez has accused his former employer, Juan Vasquez of not paying him for 14 days of work. Juan claims Christian was incompetent and never a paid employee.
Okay, even when he went home with COVID, you continued to ask him to do things for your company and for the film, and that you can't do without compensating him. You can't. Okay, so you owe him $2,100 because I assume you paid him nothing. Now, let's get to the second part of your claim, which is defamation. That I'd like to see. I mean, if you're going to be a producer, if you're going to make films, sir, you have to understand. Say you're not working out, you're fired. Something that I would love to be able to say a lot.
I agree.
Not
I should have fired him right away.
Without risking my house and my car and my dog.
I was taking him on as a basically.
I don't care what you were thinking. That's not what you said.
Asked me to take him on. That's why I took him on.
He actually called me and told me how
just
good
a
of a
second.
job I was doing.
It doesn't require an answer. Okay.
And I can show the messages, how he came to be on the set. He was presented
Just a second. I don't care how he was presented to you. If your Aunt Tilly said, do me a favor, this is my godson.
It was his Aunt Tilly.
He hasn't been able to get a job since he graduated from college.
He hasn't made
He's home. He's home in the attic of his parents' house playing the guitar. We want him to have a job. It's irrelevant. You gave him a job. And if he didn't work out, say, what was the name of that woman from that show that says you're fired or something? Well, anyway, you say you're fired. That's easy. Do we remember the name of that woman from England who had a show where she said, you're out, get out? I don't know. She was terrific. Let me see.
The weakest link.
Weakest link. That was the lady. Perfect. Thank you.
And that's a direct text message to him. I never posted on social media.
Oh.
It was actually a group text.
Just a second. So, Mr. Vasquez, in here, you say to him, this is the second part of his case, which is for defamation. And that's okay. He didn't defame you.
Okay.
Sir, he said they're taking you out of the credits, but you were never promised credits.
In the contract, it says I am.
Let me see where in the contract that said you'd be in the credits. And I didn't even know there was a contract. I thought
He's
you had
also done this before.
Shh, shh, shh.
Kevin brings a document to Judy. She reviews it.
It says you employed him as an actor.
Your Honor, I'm signing actor agreements every day. He put that in front of me to sign. Why would I sign an actor agreement for a first AD?
Just a second. Sir, is this the agreement he put in front of you? Or did you?
I sign actor agreements every day on the
You're a business guy.
Yeah.
I'm a business lady.
That looked like an actor agreement. That's why I signed it.
Actor agreement. That's what it says.
Yeah. He's not an actor.
Don't sign it. It says you agreed to pay him $150 a day for 4 days of shooting.
14.
14 days of shooting. And that he will be responsible for paying all the taxes on it. So he was going to be paid in
I didn't write that out, Your Honor.
Kevin, would you show this to him, please, and see if he can identify that as his signature? I'm going to check here to see if it's his signature. It looks like a signature to me. Mr. Vasquez, it appears to be the same signature that you used to sign the answer.
Yes, Your Honor.
So that's your signature?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and this says, actor shall receive a credit for acting in the film. Well, that's ridiculous. You didn't act in the film, right?
No, ma'am.
Well, we're going to strike that out because you can't perform that because you didn't act in the movie. Do you understand?
I understand, ma'am.
Okay, very good. And it's clear that whatever this says, based upon this, if you delete one part of a contract, let me see if I remember, if part of a contract, Sarah, is impossible to perform.
Then it's not fully integrated.
And one party acts on that contract, and you can retain part of the contract because of services that were rendered pursuant to the contract. You can eliminate one part.
Yes.
So I can eliminate the actor part of getting credit. So you're not getting credit on this. You're entitled to the $150 a day. As far as the defamation is concerned, sir, what he said in here was clear. He said he was told by someone else, which is very possible. And the only thing that you can produce for me today is this fellow who said you tried to put together a little bit of a drug transaction. Are you?
No.
Well, then you're irrelevant. You can produce, because if he says, told me, then he's not saying you did this. He put it in a text to you that this is what he was told.
Retaliation whenever I served him the night before. The very next morning, he sent me that text message.
I don't care. I don't care. He's not a great businessman. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,100. Thank you very much. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
Outside the courtroom, Christian then won.
I thought she was very fair. I'm really, really happy with how the judgment came out.
He was an intern. Interns aren't paid. It never said paid internship.
He tried to avoid signing a contract at first.
The reality is, with a budget, we would love to pay the kid, but he cost us more money than he was actually worth.
He lies constantly. Nothing's ever his fault. He always makes up a new scenario in which he's the victim.
He couldn't even order pizza. I mean, who spends $300 at Domino's?
Handed me the actor's agreement, told me to sign it.
No more nepotism. If I don't know him, I haven't vetted him, I don't want them on the project.
A little bit weird, but it had everything.
And this kid is going to go be a cybersecurity guy.
Always save your receipts, dude. Always just keep any sort of communications, even if it's a phone call, send a text or an email that just recaps what you said.
I was so happy to vent for a moment on the current inability to fire inept people and to fire people who aren't doing their job, which has been getting worse over the last quarter century. I actually believe that HR is a vital service for people who are unjustly, based on something other than their performance, treated badly by an employer. And harassment in the workplace, I think, is important.
After his 17-year-old son hit Dean's car.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Kevin approaches the bench.
Hello, Judge. Case 2076, Miller versus Pena.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Judge Judy turns to Robert.
Mr. Pena, is that your son?
Yes, it is.
The one who was driving the car?
Yes.
Okay, good. You stand up next to your father. Mr. Miller, is your claim that the defendant's son hit your car that was parked in a parking lot?
Yes, Your Honor.
And it was parked in the parking lot of a high school?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you work in that high school?
Yes.
As what?
I'm a teacher.
What do you teach?
I teach what's called on-site continuation. It's a continuation classroom for 10th through 12th grade students.
Do you go to that school?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. On what date did you park your car when you allege it was hit?
That was on March 8th, Your Honor.
You were in school that day?
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you should know that in reviewing this case, Mr. Miller, because he was not there when his car was hit.
Correct.
Correct? And so he alleges that it was you who hit his car and then left the scene. Your father said it was not you who hit his car, and there's no proof that it was you who hit his car. That's what your father said. Before you answer my questions, I'm going to tell you that Mr. Miller has a video that he says was taken by school cameras that were zoned onto the parking lot that demonstrates that you actually did hit his car and leave. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
So now we're going to go back to March 8th, and you're going to tell me what happened with Mr. Miller's car.
So I drive myself to school every day, or at the time I was driving myself to school because that was my only way of getting to school.
Did you have a driver's license?
At the time, no, I did not have a driver's
So you were driving a car without a driver's license?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what kind of a car were you driving?
It was a 1991 Camaro.
Where did you get the car from?
Me and my dad had gone off the street. It was a project car.
How old are you?
17.
Did you try to take a driving test?
Yes.
When?
Back when I had turned 17, actually, in February of last year.
And you didn't pass it?
No.
Did you take the written test?
No.
What did you take in February?
The practical test.
Just the practical test, the driving test?
Yes.
And you failed that?
Yes.
So despite the fact that you failed that, you drove the car, and your father knew that you were driving the car without a license? That's a yes or a no?
Yes.
Was there insurance on this car, Mr. Pena?
No, there wasn't.
So no insurance, no license. So far, not good parenting. You understand that, Mr. Pena?
Yes.
Great. Okay, so you drove yourself to school and?
There's a parking lot that all the students, teachers, anyone who goes to school, really, they can park
Yes, nobody suggests you were trespassing in a place you weren't supposed to be.
Yeah, so every morning I would park in...
Not everyone, look at me. That day, Mr. Miller's car.
Yes, Your Honor. That day, March 8th, I came to school as usual and I parked in my area, and then one of the on-school deputies that the school has, he pulled up right behind me as I parked, and he asked me for my information, he asked me for my name, my school ID.
I want to know what happened with Mr. Miller's car.
Oh, nothing happened with Mr. Miller's car.
So what you're telling me is that you did not hit Mr. Miller's car. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes, Your Honor.
What car were you driving that day?
1991 Camaro.
What color is it?
Red.
How long have you been going to that school?
It's my 4th year going.
How many other people drive a 1991 Camaro? red? Nobody.
Nobody.
And so I'm going to watch this video. Sarah, do we have the video?
I have it.
Sarah produces a tablet.
So,
She sets it before Judy.
wait, you'll see it.
Judy watches the screen.
Okay. You had a truck.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, so there's no question you hit the truck. Do you want me to show you the video?
No, Your Honor.
Well, if you don't want to see the video, that's because you told me a lie.
Oh, yes, I'd like to see the video.
Absolutely. Going to watch very carefully, you pulling into a spot and the truck moved as you were pulling in. Have they shown you the video, Mr. Pena?
They show me a different version of that video.
Well, I've just seen the version that I saw.
Kevin brings the tablet to Robert and Nathan.
Got it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Saw the truck move, did you?
Yes, it did.
When you were pulling in next to it?
Yes, I was.
When you were pulling in next to it? So that didn't happen because there was an earthquake. That happened because you hit the truck.
Yes, Your Honor.
Fine. Now we understand each other, Mr. Pena?
Yes.
Great. That's a yes. Okay. Can I see pictures of your truck, please, and the estimate to repair it?
Yes, Your Honor.
Dean produces photos and documents, then hands them to Kevin, who brings them to Judy. She reviews a photo of a pickup truck with a scratched bumper.
Have you seen the photographs?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Totally consistent, right? Okay. Mr. Miller, you're from California?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you regularly teach today?
Yes.
So you had to take a day off.
Yes, I have a substitute today, yes.
How many days off are you allowed?
10 per year. I've accumulated quite a few because I don't take many days off.
You get paid for those days?
I get compensated because I have sick days or personal necessity days.
The reason I'm asking you these questions, Mr. Miller, because it's no question that you are entitled to have your car fixed. But that's, to me, even though that's all you're requesting, I think the fact that Mr. Pena allowed his son to drive a car without insurance and without a license, not only without a license, but knowing that his son took a driving test the month before and failed it, which means that he was not a good driver. Not a good enough driver to get a driver's license. And I have a lot of people in my family that don't drive well, that I don't like to be in the car with. But they all have driver's licenses because they managed to pass a driving test. So I know that you are only requesting the $1,524, but I'm actually awarding you $2,500.
Thank you.
And that's for the aggravation of, instead of Mr. Pena saying to you, I'm sorry, my son hit your car, because either his son lied to him.
Your Honor, can I say something?
Either his son lied to him, or his son told him the truth, but he lied to me. And he's the grown-up. He set an example for his son that said it's okay to break the law. Not only for you, because you take the car to school. Take the car to school, even though you failed. Take the car to school. It has no insurance. If you hit somebody in that car and you seriously injure them, that car has no insurance. Car has no insurance. He has nothing to lose. Car has no insurance, but the person who he hit, person whose property he may have destroyed, they have no recourse. You understand, sir? That's a bad parental example. You want to say something to me or not?
Yes, I do.
Caption coming up.
I don't care that you didn't like it. That's not, as a parent, the lesson you should be teaching. And whether or not you like the way the sheriff spoke to him, that is totally irrelevant to me.
Later.
I paid as much as I could supporting him. I wasn't getting paid rent for his room.
What happened is you both sort of took advantage of this rent moratorium.
Not true.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Dean, Robert, and Nathan.
Dean Miller claims vehicle owner Robert Pena owes for damage after his 17-year-old son hit Dean's car.
Go ahead.
My thing I didn't like was how he got approached.
I don't care whether you like it or not.
That's what I do.
I don't care whether you like it or not. Did your son come home from school that day and say, I hit somebody's car?
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
Nowhere.
And just a second. And when you asked him whether he hit somebody's car, what did he tell you? Just be careful.
He said, I think. He felt intimidated
just a second.
by
I think.
the sheriff and him.
I don't care that you didn't like it. That's not as a parent. That's not as a parent the lesson you should be teaching. First of all, you allowed your son to violate the law. You allowed it. And then, I mean, I would certainly know whether I caused that much damage. He knew that that car moved. So either he lied to you or you lied to me. And whether or not you liked the way the school official spoke to him or the sheriff spoke to him, that is totally irrelevant to me. That shouldn't be the takeaway from this. The takeaway from this is you're supposed to follow the rules. The rules are meant for everybody, and that includes you and your kid. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. We're finished here.
This court is adjourned.
Police officer came behind me when I parked and accusing me that I'd hit someone.
The school deputy saw the video, knew the car, so he approached the student.
The person who I'd supposedly hit came out with a megaphone yelling at me.
There is no megaphone, so I don't know where that came from.
Telling me that I'd hit him. So I was kind of like freaking out. I didn't really know what to think.
If it happened to me, he could hit someone else. And
I didn't know I hit your car. Like, did I hit your car? Like, I didn't even know what to think. I could have sworn I did not.
This was fortunate that it was just a parked car in a parking lot.
It is time to get his license, yes, that's correct.
It's time to get the car fixed and just get some closure on this.
Sarah.
In our family, we would call that contact a love tap. And as someone who has had a few run-ins potentially with stationary objects, I will tell you.
Not potentially.
I will tell you, you know when you hit a stationary object, even if it's just a light little love tap. So I just thought it was outrageous that the defendants, father and son, they knew that there was a video and still took the position of, nope,
nope,
nope.
Well, his father's position was, I didn't like the way they spoke to my son, and therefore, I'm not responsible. They shouldn't have spoken to him. I mean, he's 17 years old, but he looks like a man. He's taller than his father, you know.
You have to take responsibility.
But you have to take responsibility and not drive a car, especially. You failed a driving test. The most basic thing. I mean, you know, we have
I will
people...
say, I did pass on the first try, so...
Yes, but we have people in our family who actually did not.
Okay, yes.
And they
will
didn't
not
drive...
be named.
And they didn't drive a car.
Yeah.
Until they could pass a driving
and
test.
Their parents were the first ones to say, no, 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 no. No shot until you pass that test.
Absolutely.
So parents need to be responsible as well.
Right.
Case 2104, Birkeland versus Lefkowitz. All party, please step forward.
Shannon Birkeland is suing her former roommate, Ian Lefkowitz, for unpaid rent and eviction costs.
Ms. Birkeland, how long had you lived in your residence?
Prior to the defendant moving in?
Yes.
2 years.
And how long did you live there with the defendant?
A total of 5 years.
You
With
lived
the
in
defendant, I'm sorry, 3 years.
3 years.
This month would have been.
And for most of that 3-year period, what kind of work do you know that the defendant did?
Computer work and music producing.
How do you support yourself, sir?
I produce music. I don't do computer work.
Produce music for whom?
Various artists and brands and whatever.
How long have you been doing that?
Since I was 13 years old.
How old are you now?
32.
You have a corporation or an LLC?
Not currently standing, but I do have one that is out of commission right now that needs to be reestablished.
When was the last time you filed tax returns?
Last
April.
Last April, yeah.
And on your tax returns that you filed, how much did you indicate that you earned?
I receive royalties from a company called, and they take my taxes out automatically, so I'm not sure how much.
I'm asking you how much you reported your gross income was when you filed your tax returns in April.
They come automatically, is what I'm saying. I didn't file them. They're paid for and filed automatically by the company that distributes my royalties.
So is what you're saying you didn't file tax returns in April?
I assume that they're filed automatically through this company that pays me.
Mr. Lefkowitz, when was the last time you put a stamp on tax returns that you sent to the government?
I do not know.
Ever? You have to think?
No.
Ever?
Like I said, where I make most of my money, if not all my money, comes through a company called, which they take out the taxes automatically before paying me. So I've never filed through that. I just assumed that it was already taken care of in that way.
You assumed wrong.
Okay.
Okay. There came a time, Mr. Lefkowitz, you lived there for 3 years, but there came a time when you stopped paying rent.
Correct.
And what was your rent when you moved in with the plaintiff?
$1,200 a month.
You had your own room?
Yes.
Bathroom?
Yes.
You moved in what month and year?
2019 in October.
And as you said, most of your money comes from royalties, and I assume that's royalties on past work.
Yes.
And you've been existing on that for how long?
8 years or so.
So how much do you make from these royalties? You pay $1,200 a month rent, you have a car.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh, it's not an answer.
Yes.
You have a
how
car.
much do I make?
So you have a car, you have insurance.
Yes.
What kind of car do you have?
I have a Honda Clarity.
What year?
It's a lease. It's a 2021.
And how much do you pay a month for the lease?
$395.
Does that include insurance or does it not include insurance?
It does not include insurance.
So you pay an additional how much for insurance?
About $350.
So you spend $700 a month for your car.
Correct.
And let's get back to, you moved in October of 2019, your rent was $1,200 a month. And you lived there until when?
Until about 2 months ago. So September 4th or 3rd is when I moved all my stuff out.
And when was the last month you paid rent?
That would have been in December of 2021.
So you lived there January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, and part of September. So at least 8 months that you lived there and didn't pay rent.
Mm-hmm. Well, I wasn't there for August, pretty much the
Your
entire.
things were there.
Sure.
If your things are there, you're there.
Okay.
Because that's part of what she's suing for, rent that you didn't pay.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still living there?
No.
Why not?
I was evicted.
When?
The exact date is August 2nd. I do have my paperwork for notice to vacate and all that.
Just a second.
Sure.
On August 2nd of 20...
I'm sorry, that was the court date, and that's when the judgment was made, was August 2nd.
And when did you move out?
2 weeks later.
That's not true.
And you were evicted for non-payment of rent?
Yes, for 2 months.
Yes.
Yes.
Just a second. You were evicted for non-payment of rent?
Yes, for 2 months.
Well, show me that it was for 2 months. I just want to see that it was for 2 months and what 2 months those were.
That page right there.
Shannon hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
No, you didn't leave until, let's say, September 1st.
That sounds more like it.
You didn't leave until September 1st.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I did mistakenly speak. I do remember that the judge...
Don't tell me what the judge said. I'm asking you when you left.
Gave me 6 weeks from that date of August 8th.
What
so I left September 8th.
And you left at about the same time.
I left prior, but I called my neighbor at...
Just a second.
Yeah.
You left at about the same time.
A few days before.
Fine, that's at about the same time.
She actually left after that. I talked to a neighbor that said around the 14th that she was still there.
You can't tell me what the neighbor said, sir. That's why I stopped you before.
Caption, coming up.
Well, I know there's a moratorium for COVID, and the government shut my business down.
That's what he
so
says.
I knew that I had protection.
He's saying the exact same thing you are in his answer. You two are soulmates.
Hey, no, Your Honor, I'm sorry.
Ian grins. A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Shannon and Ian.
Shannon Berkland claims her former roommate, Ian Lefkowitz, is responsible for unpaid rent.
Okay, this eviction notice is dated May 26, and it says that you didn't pay April or May.
Correct.
But both of you lived there in June. Did you pay June?
Yes.
Show me proof. Show me proof that you paid June and July. Show me proof you didn't pay April and May. Show me proof that you paid.
My proof?
Your proof.
Is in the fact that I don't owe any rent except for when the moratorium lapsed and I...
No.
I don't have a receipt. I don't have a receipt for payment.
Then just say I didn't pay rent for June and July.
I did not pay rent for June and
Well,
July.
just answer that question. So you didn't pay rent for
Yes.
June and July.
Yeah.
Here we go. And you didn't pay for April, May, June, and July. I know you didn't pay for August. There's no question you didn't pay for August, and you were actually there in August, so you didn't pay for 5 months.
I guess, yes.
Okay, yes. And the reason that you didn't pay rent for those 5 months was what?
I had spent all my savings on paying rent, and I had none left. I paid as much as I could, supporting him.
Just a second.
The best I could, and I...
What happened is you both sort of took advantage of this rent moratorium.
Not true.
Well, if you didn't pay rent for April, May, June, July, and August. What were you doing?
Waiting for him to pay his rent because I couldn't afford to pay for my station.
Just a second.
Yeah.
You didn't pay any rent. You didn't say to the landlord, I have a roommate. I can't take care of him. I'm giving you my half of the rent.
Well, I know there's a moratorium for COVID, and the government shut my business down.
That's what he
says.
says.
I knew that I had protection.
That's what he says. He's saying the exact same thing you are in his answer.
Did he go to court and do the paperwork and do the filings and
Who cares?
And I do.
Who cares? I don't. Each of you seems to be living. You operate your hair business out of your house.
In addition to another business, yes.
Whatever. You operate your hair business out of the house. He operates, I don't know what he does, but I know he's 32 years old, supports himself, spends $700 a month on a car, spent for a long time $1,200 a month rent, and can't remember the last year or the last decade that he filed tax returns. So whatever it is, this is your problem, Miss Birkeland, and this is what I actually didn't understand when I read your complaint, because what you're looking for is 8 months' rent from him.
Correct.
You didn't pay the rent.
I shouldn't be evicted. I asked him to leave every month that he didn't pay me.
Should have read a cutter.
I had a business as a hairdresser, and I went out to rent a station, and I was out for 4 months to pay for a station.
It doesn't matter.
Because I wanted to go back to be my nice space that I had created for myself, and I've worked my butt off for, and my clients liked. I wasn't getting paid rent for his room. I wanted to move my studio into his room and make it my hair salon. So I can have 2 businesses now out of my home. I have 0 income, 0 businesses. My life has not been easy, and this home was the one thing that I've worked my ass off for. It's the only thing in life that I loved, besides my
Miss Birkeland, did you say to your landlord,
yes,
I have a roommate.
Yes.
He's not paying me his half of the rent, but I want to show you in good faith, I am going to give you my portion of the rent. You didn't do that.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Well, show me. Just a second. Show me. All I know is they say this is your evidence for the full amount of the rent for April and May. And I know you didn't pay June, July, August, and September. I know you didn't pay that, so I'm asking you, just show me some proof, Miss Birkeland, that you said to your landlord, who is also in business of renting space for which they are requesting rent paid in a timely fashion, and then they've got 2 people who decide, well, we have a rent moratorium. I'm not in any worse position now than before, so I'm just not going to pay rent.
Your Honor, I was...
Just show me that you made partial payment to the landlord for April, May, June, July, and August.
I don't have that because I was protected under the law.
Okay, good. And so is he. Case is dismissed. We're finished.
One question
Goodbye. Goodbye. Listen,
I can prove
you
to
two
you
are so.
that
You're
I
just.
attempted to
You're
pay
just
full rent after
you
he was
two.
gone, and I was able to bring my business into the house.
You two are soulmates. You both relied.
No, Your Honor, I'm sorry.
Out.
This court is adjourned.
Soulmates. You both took advantage of a law, and you both lost. Goodbye.
I have nowhere to operate both of my businesses. I created one during COVID.
We both exercised our rights under California tenant laws.
Which I would have had I had a room that he wouldn't leave.
You know, that's just what it is.
Every month I pleaded with him.
That never happened.
I cried, I fought.
She never asked me to leave crying, approached me, nothing.
If it can be helped, don't have a roommate.
Sarah and Judy.
I'm glad you didn't give her any money. But if you were going to award any money in this case, it should go to the landlord, because the plaintiff did the exact same thing using the exact same legal loophole that was created during COVID for people who really were struggling and not being able to afford their rent. And now she sues him for doing the exact same thing that she did. So the landlord is really the only one out here.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And if you could write a check to the landlord, that would be fine, but the landlord isn't a party. I have a feeling that there are a lot of very small landlords, you know, not people that own giant buildings, but people who have, you know, their real estate businesses are small. They may have...
Court come to order. All rise.
Judy enters.
Have a seat, everyone.
Kevin approaches.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2016, Pajaro versus Stratman.
Mr. Perari, it is your claim that the defendant, who lived with you for a brief period of time, owes you money for a plane ticket and for her unauthorized use of your credit card.
That's correct.
I don't know what the defense is to this, except that I think her defense is that you were just stupid and she took advantage of you. No. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm actually trying to figure it out. But you met the defendant, according to you, on an online dating app and started a conversation with her on what date?
So we met in March 2020 on a dating app for LGBTQ people. We started dating in March 2020. 4 months later, she moved in with me, which I know is not smart, but...
July?
Yes, in July 2020.
And where had she been living?
She had been living in Florida.
And where do you live?
I live in Seattle, Washington.
Did you send her money for a plane ticket? How did she get to you?
She had money herself at that time to cover the cost of moving.
So she moved, and it was her own funds that she used to move?
Yeah, the swindling hadn't started yet.
You must have had some substantial What is this? What is this look? I don't know what this look is.
Oh, it's just the verbiage.
Okay, well, let me go back and let me start with you, okay? Because there's only one theatrical person here in this room, and that's me. Do you understand?
I do.
Yes. I get paid the big bucks to be theatrical. Okay, so Miss Strackman, you lived in Miami. He lived in Seattle, Washington. You decided to move in with him. What kind of work were you doing in Seattle?
I was a video editor, but when COVID happened, everyone kind of lost their jobs.
And what arrangements did you make with him when you were going to move in with him?
He told me that if I gave up my life in Florida, I had a very lovely apartment, lots of friends.
You had a lovely apartment, you had nice
gave up
friends,
everything to
but
go
no
and
job.
move to Seattle.
Okay, so he said, move to Seattle and I'll take care of you.
Yes.
That's what you say in here.
Yes.
And that was in July of 2020.
Yes.
Is that about what you said to her?
No. The reason she moved in, again, it was 4 months after we started dating, which normally...
Had you seen her during those 4 months?
We had Zoom.
That's either yes or no.
No.
No, you had no physical contact with her?
No.
Okay.
But because we were in lockdown and we were both pretty isolated, it made sense. Her lease was ending and things moved really fast between us, so we decided to try it together. Yeah.
Okay. Was there any discussion about what she was going to do once she got to Seattle?
Yeah, so as she stated, she was a freelance video editor, and she said she was going to potentially have more work in Seattle and continue to try and find gigs for that or find other employment, drive for Uber Eats.
But she came to you and she wasn't working?
She wasn't working, no.
Okay. And the relationship with her ended in what month?
It ended in February 2021.
So it was a relatively short live-in period, maybe 6, 7 months.
Right, because of her.
Did she ever work when she was with you?
Not that I
Just a second, I'm going to ask her. Did you ever have full-time gainful employment during the time that you lived with the plaintiff?
I did not. I was not supposed to.
I didn't ask you. I don't ask to be editorialized. I asked you, did you ever work full-time?
No.
Did you ever work part-time?
No.
Okay. Then there came a time, according to what I read in both of your papers, that he purchased a plane ticket for you to go back to Miami. That would be a yes.
That is correct. You're right.
And what month was that?
That was in February of 2021.
And tell me, in your own words, what you told him as to why you wanted to go to Miami, because he wasn't going with you.
He was not going with me.
Tell me what you told him as to why you needed to go to Miami.
I told him that I needed to visit my sister.
And does your sister live in Miami?
Yes.
Had you been there to visit her before?
I had, yeah.
While you were living with him?
No. I didn't travel.
So this was the first time you wanted to go and visit your sister?
Yes.
Okay, was there any specific reason that you gave him as to why you wanted to go visit your sister?
She was sick and I wanted to be there.
But did you tell him what she was sick with?
Yeah, it was COVID.
Does she live alone?
At the time, yes.
You know, it's not going to be easy. It's going to get harder. Now, the plaintiff seems like a relatively intelligent human being. Hands off hips. If somebody I lived with say, I want to go and see, unless it was a young child, maybe in a school or something that lived alone in an attic dormer, I want to go see my sister who's sick with COVID, and you don't have COVID, and this is 2021, I would say, well, why would you do that and put yourself at risk and then come back and put me at risk? Didn't you have that conversation?
We didn't, Your Honor, no. It just didn't come up.
I want to go take care of my sister because she has COVID? What about isolation? Did you ever hear about that?
I did hear about that. I spent a lot of
Well, what do you
time
think that means?
Isolation means not traveling.
No, isolation means you're not supposed to be around other people if you test positive for COVID. If you're sick, stay at home. You don't travel cross country to be with somebody who's sick. But it doesn't make any difference, actually, because you should have picked up on that or whatever, because you didn't really want this ticket, according to what I read, Miss Strackman, to go and visit your sick sister. You needed this ticket because you had started to become involved with a boyfriend who was in jail in Florida.
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay, so that's a yes, which you didn't tell him. So you took the money from him for, let's just start with the ticket, under false pretenses.
I did, but I...
Just a second. That's all. I did. Not a but. Not a little. I did take the money from him under false pretenses when you went to Florida. He said you needed it for one thing, and in fact, you didn't. That's under false pretenses. How much was the ticket?
The ticket was for $427.40.
Okay. And when you went to Florida, Miss Strackman, and you stayed in a hotel, motel? What did you stay in?
I stayed in a hotel.
And whose charge account did you use for the hotel?
Yenny had given me a credit card.
That's not what I asked you. That's a name. Whose credit card did you use when you stayed at the hotel?
The plaintiff, Yenny's.
Mm-hmm. And that was by pre-arrangement with him that you were going to stay in a hotel rather than with your sister?
No, but I had the credit card for...
Now, that's not what I mean. Let's go back. You had the credit card. I'm assuming for the purpose of this question that what you say, and I don't know if it's true, but assuming for this question that what you say in your answer is accurate, that he gave you a credit card to use for your necessaries and expenses for emergencies.
Yes.
Yes. You would agree that going to visit secretly another boyfriend in Miami is not a necessity.
You would agree that Yenny cheating on me was not a necessity.
No. But did you use his credit card?
I did, and I believe that human love and kindness.
Okay, just a second. That's it. Do I look like I need help from you? If you had given him, Miss Strackman, a credit card, I want you to try to take everything else from out of your mind. If you had given him your credit card and said, I'm giving this to you because I said to you I would take care of you when we lived together if you didn't have a job. Let's say I believe that. I'm not so sure, but let's say I believe that. You would agree that going to see another boyfriend across the country was not a necessity for him, or for me, or for Whitney,
for you, no,
or for Sarah.
For me, I'm a woman with needs. I need dopamine, I need love, I need connection, and I wasn't getting that from Yenny. So it was a necessity that I went to go visit another man. Yenny had other girls as well on the side.
But you didn't, just a second, Miss Strackman, you didn't pay for the other girls. You didn't pay for his other girls.
I paid emotionally.
Oh, you said, what an idiot. What led you to believe you had the legal right to take that cat?
Because that cat had become severely bonded to me. Yenny was neglecting both of us, both of the women in his life. He chose him as...
Tell me how the cat died in your custody. That's not a smile story. You always make a big deal, according to you, about your birthday. It's a very important day of the year.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the way Sarah feels, actually. Me, I sort of like to forget birthdays now. I like it to run right by that day as undercovered as possible.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Yenny and Gigi.
Yenny Pajaro claims his ex-girlfriend, Gigi Strackman, owes for the cost of a plane ticket, credit card charges, and stealing his cat. Gigi says they were all necessary expenses for her.
Now, you should feel so lucky that you got off so cheap.
I think you should assume everything that comes out of her mouth.
No.
Yeah. Because if I had, I wouldn't be here.
I get who I'm dealing with,
Yes.
sir. $427 for the flight ticket. How much was the credit card?
The credit card. Also, there's an incident with my cat as well, which
Just a second.
I'll address later.
Well, I'm going to get to that in a minute. That's your least strong suit, but it sort of tells me again who I'm dealing with. Okay. How much did she use on the credit card in Miami?
Okay.
So only in Miami.
Right. In Miami, she spent $1,000 on...
Now, just a second. Is that a sheet from your credit card company?
Yes.
I'd like to see it. Easier.
Would you like me to add the $427 for the flight ticket?
Yeah. Let's separate the two for me now. Okay. Giving you stuff, just show me where the bills are.
So those are two separate credit card statements because she used it in 2 separate months. One of those is when she initially started using it, which was...
I don't care when she initially started. Let's understand.
Yeah.
She got your credit card.
Yes.
I only want to see the charges from Miami.
Okay, it's the one that says bail bonds, the bigger charge, which was...
Just circle.
Okay.
How much?
That was for $1,000, but overall it was...
No, $1,000. We're going to do it this way. $1,000 bail bonds.
Yes.
Okay, next.
And then she spent $262.50 at a hotel for both of them.
$250 for a hotel.
And then she spent $105 on a fancy dinner for her and her lover.
And her what?
And her lover.
Okay, 150?
150 is not fancy. That's the kind of person you're dealing with.
150. I don't think there's a question before you, madam. 10, 4, $1,400 there. Is that close?
Including the 1,000?
Including the 1,000, but then not including the 425, so it would be 1,827.
Correct.
Thank you. Okay. Now let's get to the final issue. So that takes care of your plane ticket and the credit card while she was in Miami. Now let's talk about the cat. Ms. Strackman, you moved in with the plaintiff July of 20.
Yes.
And when you moved in with the plaintiff, did he have a cat?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And what was that cat's name?
That cat's name is Momo.
And you lived with him a total of approximately 6 months.
Yes, Your Honor. And during that time, the cat...
No, I didn't ask you any questions. There's no question before you. There's no question before you. I have dates. You moved in, you lived with him for 6 months. When you moved in, the cat was there. And if you could recall, in what month and year had you gotten the cat?
I got Momo right before she moved in with me as an emotional support animal, which is legally protected.
When you say right before she moved in with you, give me the month.
It was
and where did you get the cat from?
June 2020. I adopted her from a shelter.
So you didn't have the cat long?
No.
When she moved in?
No.
And then the two of you had the cat?
Yes.
Okay,
but
great.
The cat was
and then when she, just a second, then when she left in February of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We are now in August of 2022, and you recently filed this case with regard to your cat.
Right. I didn't know where she was.
Just a second.
Disappeared.
I don't care.
Okay.
You recently filed this case with regard to the cat. Did you make a police report when she left with the cat?
I don't.
The answer is either yes or no.
I don't like involving the police, so no. I didn't want to ruin her life.
Oh, well, I want to tell you something. I have a small 4-pound dog at home. I love that creature more than anything in the world, except my grandchildren, my husband, and my children. Hope there are enough life rafts for everybody, including the dog.
I did try to hire a private investigator in Florida, but I didn't know where she was.
Okay, you didn't report it to the police, and I do have a problem with that. Now, Ms. Strackman, you knew when you moved into him he had this cat that he had adopted.
Yes, Your Honor.
I want you to tell me what led you to believe you had the legal right to take that cat?
Because that cat had become severely bonded to me. Yenny was neglecting both of us, both of the women in his life he chose to neglect.
Because I was working and
No, just a second. Don't.
Sorry, I paid for everything.
And so the cat.
So he was neglecting the cat and you, so you decided maybe half a neglect, you could be one whole person.
Exactly. Me and her just getting out of here and gonna go start a new life together. I spent day and night with that cat. That cat was extremely bonded to me. She would be devastated without me.
Tell me how the cat died in your custody. Tell me how the cat died in your custody. That's not a smile story.
It's not. No, it's absolutely devastating. I am completely torn up about it. Unfortunately, my boyfriend's dog was not accustomed to cats and mistook her for a toy, and she did not survive that.
What kind of a dog does your boyfriend have?
We don't know the breed. I've never done the genetic testing.
You have a picture of the dog?
I do not. I didn't bring any evidence. I was hoping you just used.
You just brought your smile. Okay.
She's not with her boyfriend.
She said, I didn't ask you a question. There's no question before you.
Love transcends bars, Annie.
Okay, 1827, $1,000 for taking his cat, and because you're a fool. 7, 2, 8, 2827, judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much. We're done here.
This court is adjourned.
First of all, I'm glad, and I think justice was served. I'm not for Momo, but for the other scams that Jacqueline pulled.
Then I need dopamine, I need oxytocin, I need love, I need care.
Well, credit card fraud.
And Yenny said that they were going to be the person who was going to give that to me.
Deception, played with my heart.
And then didn't, so I had to find it elsewhere.
It was incredibly, this was Momo.
I did not have the cat killed. I was very attached to Momo. That was my cat as well.
It was incredibly hard to deal with. I was also alone when I had to process that news, so.
I did not set a hitman out on the cat. That's a lot to say.
She saw me as a sugar daddy, and she saw herself as a wannabe Anna Nicole Smith. Unfortunately, neither of us are those things.
Could I plead the fifth on finding another sugar daddy?
Yet another lesson we learned about cohabitants living together and the rules of what not to do. No cars, no pets, no money exchanges.
No joint pets, no joint.
Exactly. But today we learned a
timeshares.
new one. Today, don't give access to your credit card to anyone that you don't want racking up charges for any purpose, even to visit a secondary lover in another state.
You know, the divorce rate in this country is still hovering somewhere around 50%. The living togethers who don't quite make it to the marriage place is a much greater number.
Yeah.
Living togethers don't stay together 70% of the time. Why in the world would you buy a pet together?
It's a risk.
Car together? A timeshare together?
True.
Or give somebody a credit card.
Yeah.
At the time that you do it, you're happy with them. But since at least 70% of the time you're going to go your own separate ways, at that time you're mad at each other.
And the lines get blurry.
And the lines get blurry, absolutely.
Case number 2024, Morgan versus Davis. All parties, please step forward.
Corey Morgan is suing dress designer Jacqueline Davis for party costs and a dress deposit.
Miss Morgan, this is what this case is about in a nutshell. You were celebrating a birthday. When was your birthday?
March 24th.
And you always make a big deal, according to you, about your birthday. It's a very important day of the year for you and for everybody who knows you.
Correct.
Yeah, that's the way Sarah feels, actually. Me, I sort of like to forget birthdays now. I like it to run right by that day as undercovered as possible. Anyway, you celebrate your birthday with a big party.
Right.
And according to you, you get a spectacular dress for this party, invite everybody that you know and care about. How many people were you having for your birthday party?
It was going to be about 12 people.
Where was it going to be held?
It was going to be at the James Harden restaurant.
Who was going to be there?
My best friend from Chicago, my mom, my dad, just an intimate setting of family and friends.
Mom, dad, your best friend from Chicago. Who else?
Just family, cousins, aunt.
And you couldn't get the restaurant for that day, so you made it in April on a different day than your birthday.
Yes, I originally booked it in January 18th. The restaurant, it's a big deal, so yeah.
Whatever. It was postponed until what date?
Yes, ma'am, April 1st.
Okay. What about your best friend from Chicago? You told her not to come in because you didn't have a dress?
Well, I told him that I would be canceling the dinner because when she didn't deliver the dress, everything was already in black and silver.
Black and silver. You put on black pants, black top, and you put on silver around your neck. It'd be ridiculous, Miss Morgan. You have to grow up a little.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Corey and Jacqueline.
Corey Morgan says dress designer Jacqueline Davis is responsible for party costs and a dress deposit. Jacqueline is countersuing, claiming Corey owes for travel costs.
And you ordered your dress from the defendant. You found her through a mutual friend because she makes wonderful clothes. The defendant also is a tax preparer, I understand. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
So she's busy. So she makes clothes. She's a tax preparer in season. You made arrangements with her to make your dress, and she was going to make your dress at the cost of $300. According to you, you didn't get your dress in time. Was ever fitted at all after your initial measurements were taken. Is that correct?
Yes.
And since you didn't have the dress for your dinner, you had a terrible birthday, you canceled your birthday, and you want her to pay for the dinner.
Yes. Just the build up.
That's Miss Morgan. How old are you?
I just made 35, so it was the build up leading to it.
So if you turned 35, I'm a lot older. Sarah's younger, and my other grandchildren, you know, were around that age. I have one that's close to your age. I cannot imagine any of my older grandchildren, or me, for instance, canceling an event because I didn't have just the right dress. I mean, it's not as if a bride is canceling her wedding because she didn't have a wedding dress to wear. Of course, if you want to get married badly enough, you put a sack over your head with a tie and you walk down the aisle. But you don't cancel the wedding. So you want her to pay for the deposit that you made on the dress.
Yeah, it was.
And another $1,000 or more because you didn't have a nice party.
So originally when I booked it, it was for April 1st. When I tried to rebook it because she told me at the last minute that she was not going to be able to do the dress, which was the week of. I had originally set up for her to do the dress so I could have something to wear. I purchased shoes, nails, everything.
I understand everything. She's not going to pay you for the party. You should have worn something else for the party. Believe me, your best friend from Chicago, your mother and your father would not have cared if you wore that dress or any other dress. You should not be out a penny.
I was out of penny.
Well,
she
you
pretty
were out $150. You gave her $150. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
I gave it back to her. I sent her a refund.
Oh, you did send her a
did.
refund?
Yes.
Did you? Just a second. Up. When did you send her a refund, Miss Davis?
I sent her a refund on March 29th. She requested a refund on March 28th, and I sent it directly to her.
To her on March 29th?
Yes.
How did you send it, by check or?
She sent me the money via Cash App, and I returned it via Cash App.
Do you have verification of that?
Yes, I do.
And she kept that money?
Yes.
Is that correct, Miss Morgan?
Yes, ma'am.
That's
But
just a
leading
yes.
up to yes.
Well, what did you think you were taking that money for? You asked for a refund, she gave you a refund.
I gave her $150 and she sent me $105 back, but she sent it the week of my event. So
I don't care the week of your event. Did you send her 105 or?
I did.
Why?
Because I was charged a fee with Cash App, and also there were additional items that were purchased that I told her about that I deducted from that.
You can't deduct anything from that. And you can't even deduct the fee from Cash App because what it cost her was more than $150 then to send it to you, right?
Right.
Right. So why should you send her less?
Because I previously explained to her that I needed to order stones. Those stones were ordered.
Oh, then you're going to have to eat those. You didn't have the dress in time. You didn't have the dress in time.
The dress wasn't done.
No, it wasn't done. Not even according to you was it done. She hadn't had a fitting on it. The problem is you gave her money, and you should have sent her exactly what it is that she sent you, because you didn't fulfill your end of the contract. A day before the party is not the time to say it's 95% ready. Okay. She has to give you $145.88, which is exactly what she received. Am I correct that that's what she said?
That is what she said.
$145.88? Okay. She doesn't pay you for your disappointment, for your sorrow, for your party costs, or anything else, just for my own information, because that's my judgment. Did you spend your birthday with your mother and father? That's either yes or no.
No, ma'am.
Who did you spend your birthday with?
My boyfriend.
Oh, was he invited to the other party?
The dinner, yes, but I had to cancel the dinner.
I'm just asking.
Yes.
You didn't have to cancel the dinner because you didn't have a dress. That's what I'm trying to get to you. You could have gone to your dinner in that dress. I know, it's silly, and it's a little bit immature also. What about your best friend from Chicago? You told her not to come in because you didn't have a dress?
Well, I told him that I would be canceling the dinner because I purchased shoes, my nails, everything was accustomed to the dress. So when she didn't deliver the dress, everything was already in black and silver. I did not have a chance to go look for anything because it was the week of.
Oh, yes, of course you did. Of course you did, black and silver. You put on black pants, black top, and you put on silver around your neck. We're done here. Don't be ridiculous, Miss Morgan. You have to grow up a little. You have to give her back her money. Don't disappoint people. I mean, I know it's busy. It's tax time. You said to her, I'm busy. I'm working on things for the Oscars. You can't overstretch yourself. I know that it's very entrepreneurial to try to do too much. But sometimes when you try to do too much, you disappoint somebody.
This court is adjourned.
I'm not happy about it just because I'd already given her a refund.
I'm happy with the decision. It was pretty much principle for me. She was very unprofessional.
And given from the beginning, I worked with her.
And she didn't respect my time, and she canceled on me at the last minute.
And she waited to the last minute and canceled the order. So
she canceled at the last minute because she didn't have the dress ready to begin with.
Everything was really on her, but she put it on me because she was unhappy with how she chose to deal with the whole situation.
We'll be getting another dress with my original person that I was gonna go to.
Absolutely not.
But from now on, I definitely will be going with who I know.
Will not work with the plaintiff again.
So I remember seeing through COVID, a lot of wedding dress shops closing down, and the stress of brides going for fittings and seeing their dress, picking their dress, and then the shop just closed right out from under them. I wonder if any of them canceled their wedding because they didn't have.
Harlow.
Court come to order. All rise.
Judge Judy.
Have a seat, everyone.
Kevin approaches the bench.
Hello, Judge. Hello. Case 2108, Howard versus Brooks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Howard, your case is simple. You claim a loan to the defendant for the down payment on a car.
Yes.
When did you make this loan?
March 24th of this year.
How much was it?
I gave him $1,500 and he paid $300.
Where did you take the money from?
I had it at my home.
In cash?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
I'm a hairstylist. I'm an owner-operator.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's the sole source of your income?
Yes. I own a salon business. I'm opening my second one.
Tell me how you know the defendant.
He was a client of a former stylist many years ago, so I met him through the salon.
Did you have any sort of relationship with him?
At the time that I met, no.
No. At the time that you gave him this loan?
We were friends.
What did he say he needed the loan for?
To get a vehicle.
To get a car?
He was at Mercedes trying to purchase another car, and I knew he had a baby on the way, so I felt it was...
I want to know what he said to you.
He said that he needed help with the down payment. He was short some for a down payment on a car that he wanted.
Did you have that conversation on the phone or in person?
Yeah, he called me and asked me for originally $2,500 to help him with the down payment. And I told him, well, I don't know if I have that much. I'll see what I can get him. I had the $1,500. He came to pick it up at my home.
And that was on the 24th of March?
Yes.
When did you purchase your car?
I believe it was the 24th as well.
You have any paperwork for the car? What paperwork do you have there? I just want to see what you brought with you today.
Basically, the lien holder paper.
And what is that supposed to tell me?
I believe it has the date on there when I purchased it.
Okay. And how much did you put down on the car?
$9,000.
Did you trade in a car?
No.
Why did you need $2,500 from her?
I actually didn't ask for it. I just mentioned to her that I
No, well,
needed
just a
it.
second. I asked you a question.
Okay.
Why did you need extra money towards the down payment? Did it affect the payments? Did it affect the insurance? Did it affect the
yes.
premium?
Basically, the car, it was like $74,000. So if I was to put down a lower payment, like you were saying, the payment would be higher for the monthly. So if I put down a little more, it dropped it down a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she gave you $1,500, not $25.
Yes.
But she gave you $1,500.
Yeah.
And she gave that to you around the same time that you purchased the car. Were you current in your insurance payments on the car?
Yes.
And then you crashed the car.
Yes.
And the insurance company paid the lien holder on the car.
Yes.
Made the payout.
Yes.
So you didn't get any money from the insurance.
No.
So now you have no car, right? I don't know if you have a car now.
I have a car, yes.
Well, you got another car.
Yes.
What kind of car did you buy?
Tesla.
A Tesla. And how much did you pay for the Tesla?
I put down like $8,000.
Where'd you get the $8,000 from?
I have a place where I hold traveling nurses.
Did you take the money out of a bank or did you have it in cash?
I had it in cash.
The $8,000.
Yeah.
How much money do you make from this business that you have?
It varies depending on how many nurses I have staying there.
So you own the property, or do you manage the property?
I manage the property. So it's basically housing nurses or people that travel for business.
And how long have you had that business?
I've been doing that for maybe a couple years now.
That's how you support yourself?
That, and I do training as well, fitness training.
Okay, so now you paid back $300 of the $15, right?
I gave her $300.
Right, and when did you give her the $300?
I'm not quite sure the date, but...
Give me a month.
I'm not quite sure.
When did he give you the $300?
May 17th.
Okay.
Tell me why you gave it back, the $300.
I gave it back to her because she basically...
Not basically, this is basically.
Because she kept asking for it, so just to get her off me for a second. So I gave her $300. Just I didn't feel like I owed it to her because I thought that, you know, it was given to me because we were like really cool.
Just a second. Okay. All right. Well, Miss Howard.
You
Miss
can't
Howard.
be serious.
Miss Howard.
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been operating your 2 salons?
I'm opening a new one now, and the first one was opened in 2012.
Do you live with anyone?
My children.
How many kids do you have?
I have 3.
How old are they?
I have a 17, 18, and 21-year-old.
Big kids?
Yeah, college and high school, yes.
Who supports them?
I do.
From
Their
your
father
work?
helps too, yes.
From your work. Do you live with their father?
No.
No. But he also helps.
Yes,
with
he
them.
does.
And you sound like a really intelligent, put-together woman who's had her own business, who's got 3 kids, college kids.
Yes.
Moving forward.
Yes.
Why? Why do you think, you know, I know that you work, because if you're a hairdresser and that's your source of income, you work really hard. It takes a long time to accumulate $1,500. You know, I'm sure you get some tips and stuff. That's the cash that you keep.
Yeah.
So you work hard and you've got 3 kids who need money. He wants to buy an uber expensive car and he wants his payments to be lower. So he says to you, not that he needs it. See, he doesn't need it to get a car. He wants it to make his payments lower.
That's not how he presented it to me.
How did he present it to you?
He said he needs help, he needs the money for the down payment, and I knew, he told me that, you know, the situation, his car got taken away or whatever. And
his car got what?
His previous vehicle was taken from him.
From how?
I don't know.
What kind of a car did you have? Before you bought the BMW?
That's what it was. It was a BMW.
Oh, and then you bought a Mercedes?
Yeah.
Okay, so you bought, sorry, I got that confused. You bought the Mercedes using some of her money. Before that, you had a BMW.
Yes.
Okay, and now you have a Tesla. Do you understand how foolish that sounds?
Yes.
You don't want to sound foolish.
Well, like I said, he's had a baby on the way any day now, and my compassion for the situation, I was like, okay, I'll give you that. And I know he's had a source of income. It's not like I've ever known him not to have an income. So I felt like, okay, he'll do right by me. Of course, he didn't, we see.
Do you know how many people stand in exactly that spot and say, you know, I trusted him, he gave me this story, he gave me that story?
Yes.
And what I'm telling you is, most of the people standing there, for some reason that has always baffled me, are women.
Caption coming up.
Any guy who takes money from you to lower his car payment and buys a car for $75,000, the only people that do that sort of thing are untrustworthy. Then you change the contract and you said, not acceptable. You're behind $500 and a late payment will only be acceptable with a current payment. Is there anything about that in your contract?
There's not.
Okay, so if it's not in your contract, it doesn't exist.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Van Ness and Antrell.
Van Ness Howard claims her former friend, Antrell Brooks, owes for a car loan.
Most of the people standing there, for some reason that has always baffled me, are women.
Yeah.
Very rarely do I have guys standing there and say, you know, she asked me for this, and so I knew she had a baby on the way, and I felt sorry for it, so I gave them money.
Right.
Most of the time, they say goodbye, which is what you should have said. And
absolutely.
You appear to be much too fine a lady and a hardworking lady. Don't give anybody.
No more.
Any guy who takes money from you to lower his car payment and buys a car for $75,000 and asks you for $1,000 or $2,000, knowing that you're a working gal and that he didn't need it to buy a car. He could have bought a car for $50,000. Could have bought a car for $30,000.
Right.
Likes to drive fancy cars with somebody else's money, okay?
Yes.
So the only people that do that sort of thing are untrustworthy, usually, as my great-grandmother would call them, bums. So I would suggest that you be smart in the future. You're a hardworking lady. Hold on to your money. If you want to invest in anything, invest in your children's future. We're done here. Judge for the plaintiff.
This court is adjourned.
Mr. Brooks took my money with no intentions of paying back.
I thought it was, she gave it to me.
Oh, car crashed, my tires got slashed.
I thought it was a gift because she really liked me.
Don't let men borrow money.
Judy and Sarah.
Lovely woman, hardworking woman. She's going to have a chain, as Dolly Parton would say, have a chain. Going to have a second salon. On the other side, you have somebody with zero judgment.
He's well-versed in other people's money.
Why? A perfectly sensible, bright woman would take money that she worked really hard for and give it to somebody that she hardly knows.
Women have to be smarter.
The women have to be smarter, worry about themselves.
Yeah.
Case 2113, Pickett versus Glick. All parties, please step forward.
William Pickett is suing his former friend, Clinton Gick, for unpaid car payments and vehicle damage.
Mr. Pickett, you and the defendant, according to what I've read, were friends. You knew each other.
Yes.
You had a car that you were interested in selling. The defendant was interested in purchasing the car. Your car was 10 or 11-year-old vehicle,
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
When had you purchased it?
I purchased it about a year or so prior.
So you only had the car for a year. You were not an original owner.
Yeah.
Did you pay cash?
I did.
How much did you pay for the car?
Roughly $10,000, $10,000.
No, I want to know. I mean, you came to court today, not a roughly. Today we know the numbers. We're not talking about something that happened 20 years ago, something that happened a year ago. You bought a car a year ago. You paid cash for it, according to you. I want to know how much you paid for it. That's easy. You should have those records.
$10,000.
Well, now you say 10, right?
Yep.
Now you say 10. So now I'm going to tell you to go outside and get me the bill of sale for the car.
I did not bring that.
Why?
I didn't think I needed it.
How am I supposed to ascertain what you paid for the car, sir?
I didn't think about that.
Should have thought about it. I thought about it right off the bat. You had the car for 1 year. And when did you sell it to the defendant?
3/18 of 22.
For how much?
$10,000.
Well, then you're a genius businessman, because unless this 10, 11-year-old car, Mr. Pickett, had something really unusual about it, most cars depreciate the moment you drive them out of a lot. You bought this car from a company, which means you paid more for it than if you purchased it through a private person. You understand that?
Yes.
Of course. So there was clearly a markup. Sarah, take a look at a 2012 Dodge Charger with 148,000 miles.
I got it. Between 7,500 and 10,000 for a private party sale.
Okay, so as I thought, the value of the car went down from when you bought it, but you sold it to him for $10,000 because he was making payments, I assume because he was making payments. Did you have a written contract?
I did.
I'd like to take a look at it.
William hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
Mr. Glick, how did you know each other, sir?
We worked together. We'd known each other for about a year, I think, at the time the car was sold.
Okay, so the first thing was he traded in something of value, which was he gave you a car.
Correct.
What kind of car did he give you?
A Honda minivan.
Did you have the title to that?
Yes, I did.
Did he turn over the title to you?
He did.
What did you do with the Honda minivan?
I sold it.
To whom?
Someone off of Facebook Marketplace.
Okay, when did you sell it?
A few weeks afterwards.
How much did you sell it for? How much did you say you sold it for?
$1,000, $1,200.
Let's get specific, Mr. Pickett.
$1,000.
I'm not exactly sure what he sold it for, but clearly acknowledges at least $1,000. So this is what the lawsuit is about, and I've read your contract. According to the contract that you have here, you listed the dates, the schedule of payments, and you marked off when he paid and when he didn't. But we're going to go through the dates, and your lawsuit seeks damages to the car, repo fees, the unpaid contract price of the car because you repossessed it and you want him to continue until he's finished paying for it, right? That's what you want.
Yes, ma'am.
And the defendant has a counterclaim. And his counterclaim, in effect, although he doesn't articulate it in legalese, the basis of his countersuit is that there was never any meaningful breach of the contract and that he tried to make his payments pursuant to the contract and that you repossessed the car without just cause, and he's counterclaiming for the money that he put into the car as equity. That's what your counterclaim is.
That's
correct? Okay. So far, you put in $4,000. According to this, he paid you March of 2022, April. As a matter of fact, he made 2 payments.
Correct. Payment schedule was for every 2 weeks.
6/17, he made a partial payment, but made that up on 7/1, so he was up to date. Then you say on the 15th of July, he missed a payment. Did you miss a payment the 15th of July?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Tell me why.
At that point, the plaintiff had already threatened to repossess the car several times before I'd ever missed a payment on the car.
Because you made a partial payment once in June.
Yeah, and also...
But then made it up again within 2 weeks.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so you had already said to him, you missed payments, I'm going to repossess the car.
I informed, I didn't threaten to repossess it.
No.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so you missed a payment on July 15th.
Yes, and I informed him when I missed the payment that the reason for missing it, he had just filed for bankruptcy, and with his bankruptcy and the threats to repossess the car, I had decided that I wanted to miss, as it states in the contract, that I could miss 2 consecutive payments before repossession. I wanted to talk to a lawyer and make sure that I wasn't going to be putting even more money into a car that
you weren't going to have equity in.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's why you missed July 15th.
Yes, that's
okay.
correct.
And it's the 29th of July, also missed.
Yes. So I attempted to give Mr. Pickett a $500 payment on the 29th. He refused to accept that payment, and I have that in text.
I'd like to see it.
Text messages.
I'd like to see it. Do you acknowledge that he attempted to give you a payment on the 29th?
Yeah, he attempted to make a partial payment.
He attempted to give you $500.
Correct.
Clinton hands a document to Kevin.
And tell me why you didn't accept the $500. He missed the payment on the 15th.
I informed him on the 16th that I would not accept a late payment unless it's in conjunction with the current payment.
You can't change the contract, sir. You can't change a written contract.
Caption, coming up.
There was a loan on this car.
Yeah, there's a title loan on it.
Oh, you didn't tell me that. That adds a different wrinkle to this whole thing because you told me you paid cash for the car, so I assume there was not a problem.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, William and Clinton.
William Pickett claims his former friend, Clinton Gick, owes for car payments and vehicle damage. Clinton is countersuing, claiming William sold the car under false pretenses.
Now, you had a written contract with him. If you're changing the terms, he has to agree to the terms in writing in the same force and manner of the original contract, which is this in writing signed by both parties. You have a contract here. The contract says he can't miss 2 consecutive payments. He wasn't missing 2 consecutive payments. He missed July 15th, and he tried to give you one on the 29th of July. If you refuse to accept it, he hasn't missed 2 payments. You refuse to accept the second one. Got it?
Got it.
Kevin brings a document from Clinton to Judy.
Okay, well, I see the interchange, Mr. Pickett, and the interchange clearly says you're paying your $1,000 today or returning my car. He says, I'll be giving you my $500 payment that's due today. Then you changed the contract and you said, not acceptable. You're behind $500 and a late payment will only be acceptable with a current payment. Is there anything about that in your contract?
There's not.
Okay, so if it's not in your contract, it doesn't exist, and you had so far no reason to repossess the car. Did he try to make a payment to you in August?
I think one other time between the time I repossessed it.
Okay, well, you had no reason to repossess it so far unless he missed 2 consecutive payments or unless he failed to keep insurance. Did he fail to keep insurance?
I have never been given proof of insurance.
This doesn't require that you are given proof of insurance.
Or not.
This doesn't say you require proof. Did you have insurance on the car?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Through whom?
Erie Insurance Agency.
Okay, and you have no information to the contrary?
I don't.
Okay, fine. So at the time you repossessed the car so far, Mr. Pickett, you didn't have basis under your contract to repossess the car.
There was also other terms that I believed he had violated.
Well, let's hear them. So far, he didn't miss 2 consecutive payments. Had you filed for bankruptcy?
I had started filing for bankruptcy, yeah.
Is that completed?
Still hasn't been discharged yet. I think I have another month or so.
Was this the first time you filed for bankruptcy? Yes, buyer misses 2 or more consecutive payments. Buyer fails to maintain full coverage under insurance. Any significant damage to the vehicle that is not repaired in 30 days. Did you notify Mr. Glick of any damage to the car? Give him notice and say, pursuant to the contract, it has to be fixed in 30 days?
We had talked about it when he came to drop off one of his payments, and he said...
Well, give me a month.
It was...
A month and a year.
It was in June.
June of 2022, he came over to drop off a payment, and that would have either been on June 3rd or June 17th. Correct. Okay, and tell me about the conversation.
I said, hey, there's a dent in the front now. He said he'll get taken care of. At that point, I didn't really inspect the car because...
Well, I don't care what you didn't do. Yeah. I want to know what you did.
Yeah, I told him, it needs to be fixed. And he said he'll get taken care of.
Okay, and?
When I repossessed it, it was still there, as well as more damage.
Okay. Did he talk to you about the dent in the front?
I don't recall that conversation ever happening. There was text messages sent to me about damage to the car. The car had dents and dings all over it when I got the car. I mean, the front bumper even had significant damage to it.
You repossessed the car at the end of August. Where is the car now?
At my house.
What's it doing at your house?
I was just sitting there for the moment.
Well, what's your intention to do with the car?
Give it up in my bankruptcy or repair it and keep it and pay it off.
Who has the title?
The title loan company.
So there was a loan on this car?
Yeah, there's a title loan on it.
Oh, you didn't tell me that. That adds a different wrinkle to this whole thing because you told me you paid cash for the car, so I assume there was not a problem. When did you take out a title loan on the car?
I took out the title loan.
Month and year?
One of them was in December of 21.
Did you know that there was a title loan taken out on this car?
I knew that there was one. I didn't know that there were multiple. I don't know if, but yeah, I did know there was a title loan.
Did you know in what amount?
No, I was never.
Well, that's pretty dumb of you.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, because if you're buying something free and clear that he owes nothing on, that's one thing. How much was the title loan?
Roughly $6,000 is what was owed on it still at that point when he bought it.
How much did you pay off?
A few thousand by that point. It's super high interest.
Okie dokie. Mr. Pickett, you're claim against the defendant is dismissed. I'm now entertaining his counterclaim. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You get stuck with this car. Now, problem is, you drove this car.
Yes,
Was it your primary source of driving the car?
Yes, it was.
Okay. For 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 months, right?
Yes.
Okay, so, Mr. Glick, this was your primary vehicle. How much do you think it would cost you to rent a car per month? Per month. Give me a figure.
To rent a car
Yeah.
per month, I would say $900 a month, probably something like that, $900,000 a month, maybe.
Okay. Based upon what you told me, it's not so egregious because you had the use of the car for 10 months. I actually don't think that an 11-year-old car would cost that much to rent. $900 a month, considering that you also paid for your own insurance.
Correct.
And if you rented a car, that the insurance would, of necessity, come with a car. Sarah, could you look up for me best deals on leasing a Dodge Charger? I don't know what that is. Is that a truck?
It's a car.
Is there a site where you could look that up?
I'll see what I could find.
But the intention was that money was going to go towards, something that I would own.
Well, I understand that,
outright.
but you had full use of his property for 10 months.
Sure.
You don't think it's fair for you not to pay for some of that use?
I would think the depreciation in the car for the mileage that I put on it would be more than fair. Absolutely.
Everything depends on how much you put down versus how much you pay monthly, so there's a wide range.
Give me the range. He didn't put anything.
$786 a month, $843 a month, but these are for brand new Dodge Chargers, not for 2012.
Oh.
So.
Okay. And according to you, the current low price on this car is $7,500 price.
For a private party.
For a private party, low price, $7,500.
Yes.
So you're going to resell this car, and the car is currently in working order, and the low price on that car is $7,500, right?
Yes.
And he's already paid you $5,000.
Yes.
In order to break even, if you sold that car, all you need is $2,500.
Correct.
So I think that it's more than fair to give you credit for the $2,500 from what you paid.
Okay.
You paid $5,000. Half of that seems to be a more than reasonable figure to have full use of his property, and he repossessed the car. I don't think he had any basis to repossess the car, which is why he dismissed his case. And you certainly don't want to get involved with bankruptcies and payments, so you don't want this car back, because getting this car back will be more trouble for you than anything else.
Exactly.
I absolutely understand that, because then you're dealing with his creditors and whatever. I'm not trusting that whole situation. In any event, I don't think that you paying $2,500 towards the rental of the car over a 10-month period is unreasonable. And then he's whole. Then if he wants to spend money to have the car spruced up before he sells it, well, maybe he can get $8,500 for it, and then he's whole. So now everybody's happy. Judgment on the counterclaim for $2,500. We're finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
I'm very happy.
Needed a car, I had a car.
I don't think it was an honest transaction on his part.
I'll keep buying and selling.
So yeah, I think he was just trying to get a quick payday.
Sarah and Judy.
So I just want to make sure I have.
For car damages and harassment.
Judge Judy enters the courtroom.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case number 2003, Gaines versus Gaines.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
Ms. Gaines, you and the defendant are half-sisters. You share the same father.
Yes.
Have you always had a relationship with your father?
Yes.
And you, Ms. Gaines?
Yes.
There came a time when you were living with your dad.
Yes.
From when to when were you living with your dad?
From October 2018 to December 2021.
And who was living at the same residence?
It was me, my dad, and a roommate, my dad's roommate.
No children?
Yes, my children stayed there as well. I do apologize.
Well, that's important.
Sorry.
How many children?
I have 4 daughters.
How old are they?
11, 10, 4, and 5.
Were you working?
Yes.
From 18 to 21?
I stopped working in November 2019, and I started back working October 21.
What kind of work do you do?
I work for United Healthcare. I'm a customer service rep for Optum.
Just so that I get a sense, because this is a family issue, you clearly had a life before you moved to your father's house in 2018. Could you tell me why you moved into your father's house in 2018?
Because where I was living, the house was smaller, and my dad felt like he wanted me and my children to be in a safer environment.
So you had an ongoing, constant relationship with him?
Yes.
And Ms. Gaines, tell me about you. Did you ever live with your father?
I lived with my father when I was in the 9th grade.
But not since you were a child?
No.
Did you maintain a relationship with him?
I did. Me and my father do mechanic work together most of the time, so I'm at his house a lot.
Was that a business that you had together?
Just more so for fun, family time. If he needed help, I could go in and assist him. I just used that as extra time.
And that was consistent and up through 2021?
Yes.
So you saw your sister there? Because she was living there with her children?
Yes, on occasion, though. Her and her kids would be out more often. I would just go and visit my dad when the house was empty and he needed more company and help and assistance because he was there alone.
How old was he?
He's about 24 years older than me, so I believe he's like 59 now.
Did you see your sister at your father's house in the years that you were living there?
She came to visit, yes.
And they worked together on mechanical stuff?
I never saw that. Me and my sister, we had a close relationship, so she would come over and hang out with me all the time.
Okay, good. And then, unfortunately, something happened. You want to tell me when that was and what it was?
October, I believe it was the 30th, me and my sister, we got into an altercation.
Tell me the beginnings of it, because each of you claimed that the other harassed, you claim your sister assaulted you, and both of you claim some damage to automobiles that was caused by the other during the course of these altercations. Okay, so tell me what happened in October.
So the Thursday prior to the 30th, which was a Saturday in October, my sister was supposed to come to my house and do my kids' hair. But that was something that I had just asked her to do. Like we said, I stayed with my dad. They were having some issues, so
Who was having issues?
My sister and my dad.
Were you having issues with your father around that time?
I was told I was having issues with my father at that time by my sister Jessica.
Did you discuss it with your father?
I did, and I found out that that was a lie that Jessica had told him, was making up lies to make us not like each other.
Okay, so there was some bad feeling about that.
Right, so I was inviting her over because she was struggling, and I needed my kids' hair done for a picture day. So
She was what?
Struggling.
Struggling.
Financially.
Okay.
So I offered to pay her to do my kids' hair. My dad did inform me that she wasn't able to come to the house, that I needed to go to her house. And I don't really know what her situation was like over there, so I let my dad know I was uncomfortable. And I also let her know our dad said it was not okay for you to come over here with us today. And he wanted an apology.
He wanted an apology?
Yes.
From her?
Yes.
Is your father well?
He has diabetes and...
Okay, but there's nothing preventing him from coming to court. Okay, well then you can't tell me what he told you because that's hearsay. Did your sister come over to the house on October 30th?
Yes.
Approximately what time?
I believe 11:30 in the morning.
Had you had a conversation with her that morning and told her not to come over?
Yes.
Did you tell her why?
Oh, I can't speak on it because he's not here.
No.
I don't.
My question is, did you tell your sister why?
Yes.
What did you tell your sister?
That our dad would not want her there.
Is that what she told you?
That is what she told me.
Did you ask her why?
I did.
What did she tell you?
She told me that my dad was under the impression that I was hanging out with drug dealers and dangerous people, and that he didn't want me around.
Did you call your father?
I did.
And you had a discussion with him?
I did.
Were you invited over to the house?
I called.
That's either a yes or a no?
No.
So now you have information, whether accurate or not, that you weren't welcome in your father's house for whatever reason, or for the reason that was articulated to you. You called your father to confirm that, and your father did, in fact, confirm that.
He confirmed that there was a issue between Jessica and I, and that we needed to resolve it. He was not going to get involved with it, but he did not confirm that I was denied access to his house.
Well, just from my information, what did you think the issue was between you and your sister?
She was lying to my father.
Well, no, your father didn't say that your sister's lying to me. Your father had to have indicated to you that these are the things that I'm being told, and you have to resolve that with your sister.
Yes.
But your father told you not to come to the house.
No, he did not tell me not to come to the house.
Did he suggest you come to the house?
Neither. He neither suggested I come or not to. He just said I should
resolve it with her.
Yes.
Okay. And you went over there that morning?
I stated to her that I would come over and resolve it right then and there.
You told him?
They were both on the phone. I called his cell phone.
Did your sister, then your sister said, I'm going to come over, and you knew she was coming?
Yes, she said.
Okay, that's a yes. You knew she was coming, so this wasn't a surprise visit. You knew she was coming. Now tell me what happened when she got there.
So when she gets there, me and my dad were standing outside already. She gets out of her car. I approach her car. It's a little back and forth, and then...
No, tell me the back and forth, and try to keep your voice up.
Sorry. So when I approach her car, she jumps out the car. Then she reaches for a taser. So then I close her in the door. And once my dad, we're outside together, he pulls me off the door. She then takes her car, it's a video. She's attempting to run me over with her car. She did manage to run over my foot. I then went in the house. I got a broomstick, like an attachment, like the broom wasn't attached. But I've got the broomstick, and I went outside and I started swinging it at her car. And I damaged the hood of her car and the window.
And then she left?
No. She stayed at the house. I went back in the house. She called the police, and I'm not sure what happened after she called the police.
Well, did the police arrive?
My dad informed me that we didn't know what she was telling the police, that when police come, everybody gets arrested. So he said, I had something to do that day, go get a facial, an appointment at 1 o'clock. So I just went ahead and headed off to that.
So you left?
Yes.
You knew she called the police and you left?
Yes.
Leaving your dad to explain to the police what happened?
My dad didn't talk to the police neither.
So they just came?
As far as I know, they just came, knocked on the door. When I called to see if there was a report made, the police said no report was made. That was it.
Okay, fine. So the damage that was done to your car was done with a broomstick handle?
Yes.
To her car?
Yes.
By you?
Yes.
Now, Miss Gaines, did you have a taser in your car?
I don't own a taser.
And when you got to the house, your father was standing with her?
No.
Where was he?
He was exiting the house. She was already, when I pulled up, she was exiting the house.
But he was outside?
She was already at the sidewalk when I pulled up. Okay. So he was at the door.
Well, why don't you tell me your version of what happened when you pulled up?
I pulled up. I was recording the incident on my phone. I don't have that recording because it was on Instagram. I didn't want the embarrassment to go on any longer. I tried to screen record it, but it didn't save.
Okay, so you don't have video?
I don't have that full video. I do have a short video of her actually attacking the car with the stick that she came out of the house with, though. So I do have that
I'd like
portion.
to look at it.
I have the full video.
Okay, I'd like to see hers, and thank you for telling me you have the full video.
Okay.
I think the full video might be more sufficient because I have bits and pieces of the video.
Kevin, I'm going to take both. Would you pull up the video that you have on your phone?
We're going to go over to my family member's house right now to find out why we want to fight me. She has literally did everything in her possibility to make my dad my enemy. She has moved into his house, told him I'm on drugs. My family have come up with the excuse that I'm on drugs, and that's why nobody has come to see me. Yeah, do it. I'm on live.
Video footage of Jessica hitting Joanne's car with a broom handle.
First, Miss Gaines, you do understand that you damaged your sister's car?
Yes.
Okay, and that you have to pay for that. Your tires had already been flattened how many times?
3.
Do you have a bill for those tires?
When I went to court, when she was suing me for her car, I just took the receipts as proof, and when the judge took it, I never got it back.
No.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Jessica and Joanne.
Jessica Gaines claims her sister, Joanne Gaines, vandalized her car and harassed her. Joanne is countersuing for an assault and filing a false restraining order against her.
Okay. Miss Gaines, you do understand that you damaged your sister's car?
Yes.
Okay, and that you have to pay for that?
She sued me for the damages already.
She sued you. Did she get the damages?
Yes.
Oh.
She was granted.
Okay.
Jessica hands a document to Kevin, who brings it to Judy. She reviews it.
Okay, so you sued her already and you got a judgment?
Yes, for that incident.
For this damage?
But not the damage that would happen on December the 12th.
Just a second.
Sorry.
Okay, so we don't have to deal with this damage. And subsequent to this damage that you caused to your sister's car, you had damage to your car.
Yes.
And tell me what that was.
So on 3 different occasions, she came to my house and popped both of my tires on the driver's side of my car.
Okay. And this was after October 30th?
Yes.
You'd been living at your father's house for 3 years with your children. During that 3-year period of time, was your car ever damaged?
No.
Did you ever have tires popped on the car?
No.
Did you confront your sister at any time about the damage to your car?
No.
According to this, you have a video of her near your car
Yes.
on one of those occasions.
Yes.
I'd like to see it. Before I even look at it, Ms. Gaines, you received a judgment and were compensated for the damage to your car caused by your sister.
Mm-hmm.
Do you acknowledge that you or someone acting on your behalf flattened her tires?
One tire.
Okay. So you say you flattened them one time?
One tire, one time.
And when?
Right before November.
Okay. And what did you flatten the tires with?
Knife.
So
Just
you
one
slashed.
tire.
She did say tires, didn't
Just
she?
one tire.
She said one tire, one time.
Okay. And that was in November?
Beginning of November.
Did you pay for that tire?
I did not.
And do you have photographs of the flattened tires?
Yes.
I'd like to take a look at them. How many times were they flattened?
My tires were flattened 3 times.
Tires. How many tires the first time?
2.
How many tires the second time?
Sorry, I just want to make sure. 2.
How many tires the third time?
2.
And you filed a case against your sister for damage to your car on what date?
This is the court case I filed for damages for my car. Well, originally I just filed for...
When did she file the case, I'm sorry, against you for damages to her car?
December 16th.
And your tires had already been flattened how many times?
3.
Do you have a bill for those tires?
Yes. Well, I had took the receipt before, so I don't have the receipt, but I have the police report where the police...
No, I want to see the receipt.
I'm sorry.
I need damages. You want damages, you have to show me that you spent money to replace the tires and how much they cost.
Yeah, I'm sorry. When I went to court, when she was suing me for her car, I just took the receipts as proof, and when the judge took it, I never got it back.
Did you countersue her for the tires when
No.
she sued you?
No.
Well, why would the judge take your receipts for the tire?
Because he took all of our evidence at the end of the case.
No. The only reason a court would take your evidence is if you had a counterclaim for your damage.
I'm new to the court thing, so I didn't know to countersue. So when I had to file paperwork, so when I went to court on our court date, I was just letting the judge know, like, look, she did these damages to me. I didn't file a countersue claim. I didn't know I had to do that.
The judge looked at it and didn't return that to you?
He said any evidence that we wanted to be taken into consideration to leave it with him, and I left it with him.
And what kind of tires did you purchase?
I believe they say Bridgestone on them.
And what's the name, make, and model of your car?
It's a 2005 Cadillac Escalade.
Can you get me any information about that, Sarah? Cost of cars, 2000 Escalade, what kind of tires it uses? Okay, so the harassment that you're talking about by your sister, because that's the other part of your claim. The vandalism is one, which Sarah is looking up now. The damages for harassment were the tires being slashed, is that right?
A part of it, yes.
Well, what's the other part?
Well, when I filed for the restraining order, the judge said it sounded like a family matter, so it didn't.
So the court dismissed it?
Yes. So on December 24th, which was Christmas Eve, I woke up and my tires were popped again. So I then asked my dad, is it okay if I record you reaching out to my sister, asking her to leave me alone so that if I do go to court again, I have some evidence? Because again, my dad didn't come to court back then. And he was like, I don't think I can do that because then she'll start messing with me and I can't afford to be down in the morning.
Okay.
And then I was just like, okay, well, at that point, I didn't feel safe there no more because she had already called Children's Services on me. And then every 2 weeks, my tires were being popped. I really couldn't afford it.
I got it. Do you recall how much you spent for each tire?
Each tire was $120.
So you spent a little over $700?
Yes.
Okay.
That's about right from what I'm seeing.
Okay. So, Ms. Gaines, let me tell you how I'm going to rule on her request for damages for her car. But I believe that some things make sense and some things don't. And if somebody has an MO of slashing tires as their reaction to having their car damaged, And if you acknowledge doing it and doing it one time, it is not a giant leap from my imagination that you caused the same damage to all 6 of her tires. I don't find that a giant leap. I think the whole thing is foolish, and I actually don't see the basis for coming out with a broomstick, except that you were angry and lashing out at her car. You could have stayed in your house and called the police. There was no reason for you to come out of the house at all, except to confront your sister. You had an application for a restraining order against your sister?
This is correct.
And you had a trial on that?
This is correct.
And you were granted a restraining order?
Yes.
For how long?
6 months.
And that expired?
It hasn't expired yet. This was an incident. It was caused by her coming to my house after court.
Okay.
And causing more damage.
Okay. So I think that she had the right to file for a restraining order against you because part of your action is filing false restraining order. Part of your case was for vandalism to your car, but that was already done in another court.
That was part of the first case. We've been going since October.
Okay. How did she ask you to jump out of the vehicle?
She stated, hop out. I said, okay, I guess
well,
we're
that
hopping
was sort
out.
of silly. If somebody said to you, hop out, I would stay in the car.
I'm trying to talk to my dad.
Well, you talk to your dad later when things have calmed down and you're not high on weed.
A courthouse. The Judy Justice logo appears. In the courtroom, Jessica and Joanne.
Jessica Gaines accuses her sister, Joanne Gaines, of sloshing her tires. Joanne claims she needed to file a restraining order against Jessica.
Okay, let's get to the assault part of your claim that I would like to hear. First, I watched the video, and I have to tell you, Miss Gaines, that in my judgment, what you took a big whiff of was a blunt. Is that what they call that?
That is.
Okay. And that's what was in the video, and that's while you were on your way over there and very, very angry and driving a car and lost in a sea of smoke. You understand? And I think that that's both foolish, bad judgment, dangerous, and dangerous to drive a car that way.
I agree, I'm sorry.
And shows an absolute lack of judgment. So I would think about that kind of behavior again if I were you. You want to tell me when and under what circumstances your sister assaulted you and where you were hospitalized or treated medically?
When I pulled up to the house, she had asked me to jump out of the vehicle. I was...
How did she ask you to jump out of the vehicle?
She was standing on the sidewalk. I was putting the car in park, and she stated, hop out. And I said, okay, I guess we're hopping out.
Well, that was sort of silly. If somebody said to you, hop out, I would stay in the car.
I'm trying to talk to my dad. I have a...
Okay. Well, you talk to your dad later when things have calmed down and you're not high on weed.
I understand that you...
You got the damages for your car by way of a judgment. I've awarded you for the tires $726. $726 for the tires. That's the judgment of the court. We're finished. Thank you very much.
This court is adjourned.
I only slashed her tires one time, one tire, like I stated.
It was fair.
There's no receipts that were presented, so they were never damaged.
We got it, we got the proof, so.
She stated that I ran her over by the car, but she was walking back into her house. How are you walking if your foot got ran over by a car?
It's embarrassing.
Jealousy, maybe I don't feel that way. This is my younger sister. I love my younger sister. I don't wish that this wasn't even going on.
I really hope we have a better relationship going forward. I hope this is all over and behind us.
Yeah, there's no more family for me, I guess.
You know, we're siblings. Siblings go through stuff.
Judy and Sarah.
So, my Sarah, the case to me, you know, we've seen it before, siblings fighting, very unfortunate. So I'm going to ask you a question because I know I come from separate generations, 3 down from you.
Okay.
And I've already accepted the fact that many states in this country have voted in favor of legislation which suggests that marijuana is a legal substance and decriminalizing it. Fine, just like alcohol. Yes. That's what my grandchildren tell me. You drink alcohol, we do something else. But am I crazy? Because I watched that video, and to me that was the most interesting part of the video. And then she took this big cigar thing, which I found out what those were called back in my family court days. And it's interesting that I could recall it, called a blunt. Tell me what you think. Would it be no different if she took a big bottle of vodka from the passenger seat and took a couple of swigs before she got to a fight?
Yeah.
Okay, I want your take on that.
Yeah, even as a different generation, there's responsibilities and regulations and rules, the same with alcohol. So while it might be legalized, decriminalized in many states, you still have to follow the rules and act responsibly. I think there are different physiological effects.
Would you say that there was any jurisdiction in this country where you could smoke marijuana while you were driving?
I think it's still considered under the influence.